Chapter 131. Zhou kept searching for the tiny palm symbol, but he didn't find it. Zhou had looked at the city gate tower countless times, but he didn't find the tiny palm symbol. However, apart from Yingtian Gate, there were only city walls everywhere. There was no palm symbol. Could the tiny palm symbol be inside Providence Palace? Zhou looked at the tightly shut door and thought to himself, if it's really inside, it'll be troublesome. Providence Palace only opens its city gates on such a day every year, but the tutors have repeatedly exhorted me not to enter. In the past, an epic expert entered Providence Palace on this day, but failed to come out, much less someone at the mortal stage like me. Just as he was feeling disappointed, he suddenly heard the sound of musical instruments coming from Providence Palace. It was melodious and solemn. Accompanied by the music, the city gate that seemed to have been sealed for thousands of years slowly opened. Inside the city gate was a resplendent purple glow. It was so dazzling that it was difficult to look straight at it. Before Zhou and company could see the scene inside the city gate clearly, the underground space suddenly lit up. Spatial rifts that resembled holy light bloomed. Then, Zhou and company saw an unbelievable scene. They saw gift boxes of various sizes slowly fly out of the spatial rifts. There were exquisitely carved wooden boxes, antique lacquer boxes, and emerald green and snow white jade boxes. Most of them were large metal boxes. There were even some gold and silver boxes embedded with gems. They looked resplendent and extremely exquisite. The girls' eyes nearly popped out of their sockets when they saw them. There were many gift boxes. In just a moment, there were already over 1,000 of them flying towards the Yingtian Gate. Just like the legend said, it was as if there were invisible ghosts dragging them as they lined up and slowly flew into the Yingtian Gate. There's so many boxes. How should we choose? Feng Qiuyan frowned. We can only rely on luck. There's no other way. Hui Haifeng strode towards a small golden chest inlaid with various colored gems. He took out his token and lightly patted the small golden chest. The small golden chest immediately lost its support and was no longer able to float in the air. It fell towards the ground. Hui Haifeng reached out and grabbed the golden chest, then retreated. He was very straightforward. Zhou looked at the tens of thousands of gift boxes and really didn't know which one to choose. At that moment, Wang Lu said to Zhou, "My luck has always been good. If you need it, I can help you choose one." When Wang Lu said that, she was filled with confidence, as though she would definitely choose something good as long as she chose. "All right, I'll leave it to you then." Zhou was extremely disappointed that he didn't find the tiny palm symbol. Choosing a box was meaningless to him. If he couldn't download the Providence Palace dungeon, the chances of choosing a gift box with a companion egg hidden among the thousands of gift boxes were just too low. It was even more difficult to choose a gift box that contained a high-level companion egg. Zhou's luck at gambling had never been good, so it made no difference to him whether he chose it or not. He couldn't be bothered to waste his effort and casually threw the token to Wang Lu. Even if he were to choose himself, he would just randomly select one. It was no different from letting Wang Lu choose. He might as well save some time and see if he could find the tiny palm symbol. "Do you need my help?" Wang Lu looked at the others and asked. "Since we're already here, it's all a test of luck. It's better to choose one yourself," Wei Gu said with a smile. The others clearly liked to have their fates in their own hands. No one planned on letting Wang Lu choose for them. Apart from Hui Haifeng, who had already made his choice, the others began to observe the gift boxes, hoping to find some clues. Zhou was also observing, but he was looking into Providence Palace to see if he could find the tiny palm symbol. Unfortunately, Providence Palace was filled with a resplendent divine light. All he could see was the gift box flying in, but he couldn't see what was inside. However, Wang Lu had no intention of seriously choosing. She used the 2 tokens as darts and threw them into the rows of gift boxes. With 2 clangs, 2 gift boxes were smashed to the ground by the tokens she threw out. Wang Lu ran over with a grin and carried the 2 gift boxes back. She handed one of the gift boxes to Zhou. The gift box was carved from wood. It was squarish and about 30 centimeters long. There were some cloud patterns engraved on it, but other than that, there was nothing else. Zhou wasn't in the mood to see what was inside. After receiving the box, he stuffed it into his backpack and continued looking into Ing Tianmin. Aren't you going to open it and take a look? Wang Lu said. There's no need. It doesn't matter what it is, Zhou said casually. Wang Lu was slightly displeased when she saw how indifferent Zhou was. Seeing that the others were choosing their boxes and no one was paying attention to them, she said to Zhou, don't think that I'm just randomly choosing. My luck is very good. The items I choose definitely won't be bad. Yes, thank you, Zhou said perfunctorily. Seeing Zhou's perfunctory manner, Wang Lu felt infuriated. She glared at Zhou, but he had been observing the situation inside Providence Palace and didn't look at her at all. If I had known, I wouldn't have helped you choose. Wang Lu muttered and retreated to the side. She didn't even have the mood to open her gift box to see what was inside. Wei Gu and company also made their choices. Even when their counselors led them out of Providence Palace, Zhou didn't find the tiny palm symbol. He was extremely disappointed. The 10 of them had no intention of opening the gift box on the spot. Zhou also returned to his dorm with the gift box Wang Lu had chosen for him. I wonder what it is. Zhou casually opened the gift box. Just as he had expected, there were no companion eggs or dimensional crystals inside. Instead, there was a strange-looking, worn-out copper pot. Could this be a chamber pot? Zhou looked at the copper pot in the box. No matter how he looked at it, it looked like a chamber pot used in ancient times. However, from the looks of it, it seemed a little small. The opening was also rather thin, making it unlikely suitable for adults. Furthermore, the design looked rather exquisite. The lines were very smooth, and it didn't seem to match the ancient style of the East District. Zhou switched on his ordinary phone and checked online. Soon, he knew what it was. It was a handheld oil lamp from ancient Arabia. From the looks of this oil lamp, it should be an antique. I wonder how much it can be sold for? Zhou muttered to himself as he took out the copper lamp. Seeing that it was covered in dust, he wiped it with a piece of paper. After wiping it a few times, the copper lamp suddenly trembled. The patterns on it also shimmered with a strange glow. Chapter 132. The patterns on the lamp shimmered as they circled like a lantern. The lamp's flames also ignited and flickered at the lamp's mouth. It was indescribably demonic, as though a virtual seductive woman was twisting her body and dancing an enchanting dance. Zhou's gaze was attracted by the demonic flame as though it was the most beautiful woman in the world. He couldn't help but be engrossed in it, unable to shift his gaze away. Zhou was extremely strong-willed. When he felt that something was amiss, he forcefully moved his gaze away from the flame. However, when his gaze moved away from the flame, he was attracted by the shimmering patterns on the bronze lamp. At that moment, Zhou suddenly realized that the patterns weren't simple patterns, but ancient text. The demonic power contained in the text was countless times stronger than the flame, making Zhou involuntarily attracted. How can this be? Zhou's left hand's fingers suddenly moved on their own as though he was playing a piano. However, his consciousness didn't allow his fingers to move at all. Zhou wanted to use his other hand to control his left hand, but the fingers of his other hand moved as well. Soon, it wasn't just his fingers. Zhou's entire body began moving uncontrollably. This movement wasn't irregular, and Zhou realized that his body was dancing. Zhou had never come into contact with dancing before, nor did he have any interest in it. He wouldn't even watch a dance program, but at that moment, he was like a professional dancer. His body seemed to dance to the rhythm of some music, making all sorts of moves that he had never thought of before. Furthermore, his dance moves looked like a woman's dance moves no matter how he looked at them. They were extremely enchanting, light, and elegant. However, it looked extremely comical for a man to do it. If Xian were here to see Zhou's dance, he would probably be lying on the ground laughing. Zhou tried his best to control himself, but it was useless. He switched a few primordial energy arts, but it was useless. His body twisted more and more violently, and there were many actions that resembled flirtatious glances. Soon, Zhou realized that his actions were identical to the flame's throbbing, as though he was a puppet controlled by the flame. Damn it, what the hell is this? Zhou felt like he was going crazy. As Zhou Wen's dance sped up, the automatically circulating Lost Immortal Sutra slowed down. As the Lost Immortal Sutra slowed down, so did Zhou Wen's body. When the Lost Immortal Sutra completely stopped circulating, Zhou Wen's body stopped twisting. However, in the next second, the primordial energy in his body circulated crazily. It was no longer the Lost Immortal Sutra's route, but another primordial energy art that he had never cultivated before. The patterns on the oil lamp are also a type of primordial energy art. Zhou was alarmed, but also somewhat delighted. This primordial energy art was very odd. It was different from any primordial energy art that Zhou had come into contact with in the past. It seemed to have countless strange transformations. At times, it was light and graceful, and at other times, it was as swift as a storm. It gave Zhou the urge to tear through the air and dance. Time ticked by. When Zhou regained control of his body had already mastered the primordial energy art. The oil lamp that was floating in midair suddenly lost its luster and fell to the ground, returning to its dilapidated appearance. Just as Zhou was about to pick up the oil lamp, he suddenly felt something amiss with his body. The primordial energy art he had just mastered dissipated as the Lost Immortal Sutra began circulating again. However, this circulation was different from any of the previous ones. Primordial energy filled his body and circulated like blood. Boom! Zhou felt his mind buzz as a voice constantly reverberated in his head. If God define me, I'll slay God. If immortals define me, I'll slay immortals. Not the same as God. Not the same as immortals. I am me. The voice was unbridled and arrogant, but it had a demonic power that left one trembling in fear. It also made one's blood boil, as though something was surging in one's heart, yearning to stab a hole in the sky. Zhou wasn't unfamiliar with this voice. In the countless nights he had cultivated the Lost Immortal Sutra, this voice had constantly whispered in his ear. However, in the past, he had never been able to hear what the voice was saying. Today, he finally heard what the voice was. It was a woman's voice, but it had a soul-stirring aura. It was as though all living beings in the universe had to prostrate themselves at her feet. Although Zhou had only heard the voice, a scene involuntarily surfaced in his mind. Countless gods and Buddhas prostrated themselves on the ground, worshipping a woman as though they were on a pilgrimage. Unfortunately, this was only Zhou's imagination. He couldn't see the woman's face clearly, but he felt that her bearing was incomparable. She seemed to be high and mighty, but she wasn't holy like an immortal or Buddha. She had a murderous aura. The voice in his mind became weaker and weaker, as though it was about to dissipate. In the end, it was almost inaudible. Zhou vaguely heard a sentence that seemed different from the one before, when immortals die. However, the voice was too soft towards the end. It was about to dissipate, preventing him from hearing the complete sentence. Boom! The Lost Immortal Sutra circulating in his body seemed to explode as all the cells in his body seemed to bloom. It made Zhou suspect if his body had self-destructed. Degeneration. Constant degeneration. Zhou felt as though his consciousness had fallen into the deep sea as it constantly sank. Finally, his consciousness was completely submerged in the darkness. Ever since he cultivated the Lost Immortal Sutra, Zhou hadn't had a good night's sleep in a long time. Every time he fell asleep, there would be a voice constantly whispering in his ear. It sounded like Buddha's chanting scriptures, but it also sounded like the temptation of a devil. Coupled with the suffocating experience of being pinned down by a ghost, anyone else would probably have gone mad. Zhou gamed with all his might every day to increase his strength, but he didn't have the thought of avoiding sleep. Only today did the feeling of being haunted by a ghost completely dissipate. Zhou slept extremely soundly, as though there was nothing in the world more blissful than a good night's sleep. When Zhou woke up, he stretched his back and felt so comfortable that he nearly moaned. All the cells in his body seemed to be cheering in comfort. Chapter 133. Pooey, pooey, pooey. Zhou spat out a mouthful of cement and looked at his hands in surprise. What's going on? After some thought, he recalled what had happened yesterday and seemed to realize something. He hurriedly took out the mysterious phone, pricked his finger with a needle, and dripped a drop of fresh blood onto the phone screen. The blood quickly condensed into the blood-colored avatar. Zhou was overjoyed when he looked at the blood-colored avatar's information. He had indeed advanced to the legendary stage. He impatiently looked at the blood-colored avatar's information and was somewhat puzzled. Zhou 1, 16 years old level, legendary life providence, Sai of the King's strength, 12 speed, 12 constitution, 12 primordial energy, 12 primordial energy art, lost immortal sutra primordial energy skill, ashen palm, astral/blade, astral suction palm, companion beast, truth listener, banana fairy, mutated lotus flower ant, silver-winged, flying anthis stats, and primordial energy art were considered normal, but the legendary life providence was somewhat odd. Typically, although ordinary people couldn't see their stats in-game like Zhou 1, they could sense the basic abilities of their legendary life providence after advancing to the legendary stage. They knew what their life providence's use was. However, Zhou couldn't sense the exact use of his life providence. He could only vaguely sense that the power of his life providence could only be triggered under certain conditions. As for the triggering conditions, Zhou seemed to be able to sense a little, but he couldn't explain it. He looked at the game's annotation of the Sai of the King, but there was only one sentence. Sai of the King is endless oblivion. Zhou didn't understand what the annotation meant, so he was momentarily unsure if his life providence was good or bad. However, being able to advance to the legendary stage was ultimately a good thing. It meant that Zhou could finally incubate legendary companion eggs. He didn't need to have any qualms about absorbing high-level dimensional crystals to raise his stats. As for killing epic creatures, Zhou wasn't that arrogant. The difference between the epic stage and the legendary stage was far greater than the difference between the legendary stage and the mortal stage. The weakest epic could easily kill the strongest legendary. It wasn't only because the stats of epic creatures were stronger. Another reason was that epic creatures had life soul protection. They were completely different realms from the legendary stage. It was just too difficult for a legendary to defeat an epic. I can't care so much anymore. Let's get my attributes up first. Zhou picked up the mysterious phone and wanted to enter the game to grind for some high-level dimensional crystals to raise his stats. Otherwise, even if he advanced to the legendary stage, he would still be at the bottom. Li Xian and Jing had the support of their families. It was very simple for them to raise their stats. All they needed to do was use the dimensional crystals their families had prepared for them. However, Zhou had to rely on himself for everything. Before he could open the dungeon, he heard the doorbell ring. Old Zhou, what treasure did you choose in the school of the Emperor's Star? Don't tell me your luck is so bad that you chose a urinal or something like that. Li Xian stood at the door, not daring to enter. He looked straight into the room and saw the antelope sleeping on the sofa. He hurriedly shrank his head back. Take a look for yourself. Zhou led Li Xian into the room. No. I won't go in. I'm not here today to see the treasure you chose. Ms. Wang asked me to invite you over. Li Xian hurriedly shrank back. Why is Counselor looking for me? Zhou was puzzled. She didn't say, but I'm guessing it has something to do with the Covenant College exchange students, Li Xian said. What do you mean? Zhou didn't understand. Covenant College was a famous school in the West District. It was world apart from Sunset College. Even if an exchange student came, it shouldn't have anything to do with him. Li Xian said with a smile. An exchange student from Covenant College has come to our Sunset College to study here for a period of time. I heard that the exchange student is very extraordinary. He's a member of the 6 hero families and is very famous in Covenant College. He's considered the successor of the 6 heroes and is the person most likely to reach the realm of the 6 heroes in the future. What has that got to do with me? Zhou frowned. Since he's an exchange student, it's normal for him to interact with the students of our school. In order to not lose face, the The school will definitely let the best students interact with that fellow. As one of the top 10 in the comprehensive test, it's normal for the school to give you such an important mission. However, I don't think it has anything to do with you. After all, your ranking in the top 10 is too low. As long as you don't forcefully stand out, Huang Ji, Wei Gu, and Jing will definitely accompany that exchange student. You can just watch the show, Li Xian said. Zhou thought that it made sense and went to Wang Fei's office. Just as Li Xian had guessed, Wang Fei had told him about the exchange student from Covenant College coming here to study. Zhou, do you know who this exchange student is? Wang Fei asked Zhou. What does that got to do with me? Zhou said indifferently. Of course it has something to do with you. Otherwise, why would I specially call you over? If it's just an ordinary exchange student, you wouldn't have the chance to appear. Wang Fei paused before saying, the exchange student's name is John. Just like Liz, he comes from a family with the surname Cape. Liz? Zhou frowned slightly. Wang Fei continued, John is Liz's younger brother, but he's different from the untalented Liz. His talent is almost comparable to that of the Cape family's hero. Not only did he inherit a hero's physique, but he also obtained an extremely powerful life providence when he advanced to the legendary stage. In the West, he has the title of a saint. So what? Zhou said indifferently. Do I still need to elaborate on the matter between you and Liz? With John's status, even if he came to Sunset College, he wouldn't deliberately challenge someone at the mortal stage. However, you, who were at the mortal stage, actually got into the top 10 of the comprehensive test. This gave John an excuse to challenge you. When the time comes, even if he doesn't dare do anything to you at Sunset College, if you were to suffer a crushing defeat, not only would you lose face, but it would also be a disgrace to our Sunset College. Wang Fei paused and said, therefore, the school hopes that you can temporarily return and rest for a few days. It won't give John a chance to challenge you. If he really wants to find me, even if I hide in my dorm and don't go out, he will come knocking on my door, right? Zhou said, it's fine. You can return to the family and rest for a few days. The school will approve your leave, Wang Fei said. There's no need. Zhou rejected her directly. He definitely wouldn't seek protection from the family. Zhou, if you really have the ability to rank in the top 10, the school doesn't mind you fighting John. It doesn't matter even if you lose. However, I believe you know better than me how you got in the top 10. The school won't hold it against you on account of the family. But you should also know that your current strength isn't enough to represent the top of Sunset College. It's meaningless to accept such a challenge, Wang Fei said. Chapter 134. Counselor, although my strength isn't enough to represent the school, there's no need for me to fear Death, much less run away. Zhou bowed slightly at Wang Fei before turning to leave the office. Ignoring the fact that Zhou had advanced to the legendary stage, it wasn't impossible for him to fight Death. Even if he wasn't Death's match, he wouldn't flee to the family to seek refuge. This fellow's surname isn't in, so why is he as stubborn as the siblings? Wang Fei couldn't help but worry as she watched Zhou leave the office. After Zhou returned to his dorm, he entered the dungeon and began grinding frantically. He hoped to drop high-level dimensional crystals so as to raise his stats as quickly as possible. Ding! After killing a silver-winged flying ant, a 14-valued speed crystal dropped. The blood-colored avatar absorbed the speed crystal, immediately raising its maximum speed to 14. Ding! After killing the mutated Buddha Heart Lotus, a 13-valued primordial energy crystal dropped. After the blood-colored avatar absorbed it, its primordial energy rose to 13. Ding! After killing the Skeleton General, a Skeleton General companion egg dropped. Without any hesitation, Zhou hatched it and obtained another Skeleton General companion beast. However, this companion beast stats and skills were rather ordinary. While grinding the Lotus Flower Cave, Zhou was lucky enough to have a Fairy Monkey companion egg drop. The Fairy Monkey's stats weren't bad, but it wasn't of an excellent grade either. It wasn't an excellent grade pet, and its skills weren't anything special. Seeing that the skeleton general and fairy monkey's exception rate was 57%, Zhou attempted to fuse them. However, the outcome left Zhou disappointed. The fusion failed, and the two companion beasts were reduced to ashes. The recent fusion failure made Zhou realize how lucky he was to successfully fuse the mutated lotus flower ant. The chances were about the same as winning the lottery. Thankfully, Zhou could keep grinding dungeons, so the chances of a companion egg dropping were much higher than the average person. After a day and night of hard work, Zhou's stats improved significantly. His strength and constitution reached 16 points, but his speed and primordial energy were slightly weaker, having only risen to 15 points. This made Zhou clearly feel that his body had become much stronger. During this process, Zhou obtained rank 9 Dragon Gate soaring skill and raised this movement technique to its limits. Rank 9 was the limit of a conventional primordial energy skill. There was no way to raise it further through primordial energy skill crystals. In the past, Zhou believed that rank 9 was the highest, but after the precedent of Ashen Palm, he knew that rank 9 wasn't the limit. He could still raise it, but he needed to train and figure it out himself to reach rank 10 beyond the limits of Dragon Gate Ascension. After entering the Tiger Cage Pass dungeon for the umpteenth time, a demonized general with the word Fist engraved on its helmet appeared in-game. It delighted Zhou. Seeing the demonized general emit a resplendent golden glow as it charged over like a golden armored god of war, Zhou controlled the blood-colored avatar to advance instead of retreating, heading straight for the Fist demonized general. Now that Zhou had advanced to the legendary stage, his speed had increased significantly. Coupled with the silver wings formed by the silver-winged flying ant, his speed was no slower than the Fist demonized general's. He easily dodged the strange spear that the demonized general thrust at him, and with his palm wrapped in the lotus flower bracer, he slashed at its neck. With a clang, Zhou's strength combined with the lotus flower bracer still failed to injure the Fist demonized general. Instead, the demonized general's other hand clenched into a fist and punched at the blood-colored avatar's abdomen. Astral Suction Palm. Zhou had also guessed that the Astral Suction Palm could counter the Fist demonized general's primordial energy skill, but he didn't know if it was true. All he could do was give it a try. The Fist demonized general's punch was extremely domineering, as though it had condensed all its strength into a single point. Even a mutated lotus flower ant of the same level would be blown apart if it were to take a direct hit. The Astral Suction Palm looked soft and weak, but at the instant the palm collided with the fist, Zhou had a miraculous feeling. His Astral Suction Palm seemed to be able to guide the demonized general's punch. With a thought, Zhou used the Astral Suction Palm to guide and push, directing the demonized general's domineering punch to the other side of his chest. With a loud bang, the armor on his body shattered as blood splattered out. Zhou was delighted when he saw this. He controlled the blood-colored avatar to pounce forward. His palm, which was wrapped in the lotus flower bracer, stabbed into the wound and penetrated the demonized general's chest, crushing the heart inside. Killed Fist demonized general. Discovered companion egg. Zhou was still immersed in the excitement of killing the Fist demonized general for the first time when he saw a system notification pop up. He couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. On careful look, he saw a black-red companion egg drop on the ground. Zhou hurriedly ordered the blood-colored avatar to pick it up. When he saw its stats, he couldn't help but find it odd. Mutated demonized general, legendary life providence, cursed general strength, 19 speed, 17 constitution, 18 primordial energy, 18 talent skill, astral fist, demonic flame spear, demonic rider, summon companion form. None. Why doesn't the mutated demonized general have a companion form? Zhou found it odd, but his stats were truly high. He was considered a top-notch existence at the legendary stage. He directly hatched the mutated demonized general. Zhou had no intention of feeding such an excellent grade companion beast to his companion beast. He summoned the hatched mutated demonized general. It was identical to the one in-game. A majestic, demonized general riding a red horse held a strange spear in its hand. As it charged forward, the strange spear in its hand wiped out a large swath of demonized soldiers. It was truly ferocious. Another demonized general. Zhou was delighted. With the augmentation of the demonized general skills, it was much more tanky than the mutated lotus flower ant and silver-winged flying ant. It was an excellent vanguard. Taking advantage of the excitement of obtaining a new pet, Zhou continued grinding. He wanted to raise his stats in one fell swoop. It was best if he could raise them all to 18 points. It was unknown if he was lucky, but after grinding another round of dungeons, Zhou encountered another mutated demonized general when he arrived at Tiger Cage Pass. However, this time, the demonized general he encountered had the word Blade engraved on its helmet. Zhou didn't take action himself. Instead, he got the Fist demonized general to charge forward. As the skill was too effective, the Fist demonized general's charge killed the Blade demonized general. The Blade demonized general's astral/blade aura was shattered by the astral fist, rendering it useless. To Zhou's surprise, the Blade demonized general dropped another companion egg. The probability of 2 mutated demonized general companion eggs dropping consecutively left Zhou in disbelief. Mutated demonized general, legendary life providence, cursed general strength, 19 speed, 18 constitution, 17 primordial energy, 16 talent skill, astral/blade, demonic flame spear, demonic rider, summon companion form, none. Chapter 135. The stats of the Blade demonized general and Fist demonized general were basically similar. Only their talent skills were slightly different. Zhou glanced at the system notification and realized that the compatibility between the two demonized generals was as high as 88%. It made Zhou's hands itch, so he couldn't help but click on the fusion button. Ding! When he heard the system's synthesized voice, Zhou's heart couldn't help but race. Even he was a little nervous. Thankfully, the 88% compatibility wasn't fake. The two demonized generals fused successfully, producing a new demonized general. The new demonized general's appearance seemed to become even more ferocious and domineering. It had a red horse and red armor, and its eyes suffused a blood-red glint. It was like a fierce general in flames. And the word engraved on its helmet wasn't the word blade or fist, but the word demon. Mutated demonized general, legendary life providence, cursed general strength, 19 speed, 18 constitution, 18 primordial energy, 18 talent skill, astral/blade, astral fist, demonic flame spear, demonic rider, summon companion form. None these stats are a little sick. Furthermore, it has the skills of astral/blade and astral fist at the same time. If I were to fuse a paper demonized general companion beast with it, would there be an excellent grade companion beast with all 3 skills? Zhou thought to himself. However, it wasn't easy for 2 mutated demonized general companion eggs to drop. It was unknown how long it would take for another one to drop. Thankfully, Zhou grinded the Tiger Cage Pass dungeon every day, so there was no rush. There would always be a chance. After the fusion, the mutated demonized general could attack and defend. It was practically invincible. Together with the mutated lotus flower ant and silver-winged flying ant's combination of sea, land, and air, most of the time, the blood-colored avatar didn't even need to take action personally to finish off the dimensional creatures. With my current strength and truth listener at the legendary stage, can I attempt to storm Ant City? Zhou had been constantly thinking about the golden beam of light in Ant City. However, he wasn't strong enough in the past, preventing him from charging in. Now that he had advanced to the legendary stage and had 4 top-notch legendary companion beasts, it seemed like he could give it a try. Old Zhou, we can finally register our own club. What name do you think our club should be called? Do you think the Combat God Alliance or the Invincible Club is better? Li Xian walked into the living room excitedly. Whatever. Zhou was grinding Ant Nest, so he wasn't in the mood to care about it. Furthermore, Zhou didn't have obsessive-compulsive disorder. You could accept any name. Don't be like that. This is a club made up of both of us. It's only meaningful if we think of names together. Those two just now weren't very good. What do you think will happen if you call him Xianwen? Both of our names are in it. Others will know that it's our club at a glance, Li Xian said. All right. Zhou nodded as he gamed. The blood-colored avatar had already rushed to the periphery of Ant City. Then that's it. Let's register the Xianwen Club. Li Xian excitedly pulled Zhou out. Zhou had no choice but to follow him out. However, when they arrived at the place, they realized that to establish a club, not only did they need to write an application, but they also needed to gather at least 5 people to submit the application. Why do we need so many people? The two of us are enough to defeat everyone in the world. Li Xian's heart stirred as he looked at Zhou and asked, It's not easy to find people now. The senior students have basically joined the club. After more than a month, many of the freshmen have been pulled away. It's very difficult to find suitable people now. Those 2 high school classmates of yours from before seem to be very meaningful to our club. Why don't you pull them over to make up the numbers? I don't know if they have joined other clubs, Zhou said. Then give them a call and ask. Do you have a number of that beauty named Fong something? Li Xian urged. Zhou had no choice but to take out his ordinary phone and game with one hand, while calling Fong Ruoshi with the other. Holy sh*t, you even have a phone for gaming and a phone for making calls. Bro, you sure are extravagant, Li Xian teased. Zhou ignored him and picked up Fong Ruoshi's call. He heard Fong Ruoshi's voice. Hello, is this Zhou? It's me. Li Xian and I have established a club. If you and Tian Xiangdong haven't joined a club, why don't you consider it? Zhou said. Not yet. I heard that you were going to establish a club. We have been waiting for your invitation, Fong Ruoshi answered with a smile. All right, we are still short of one person. We will contact you after we find everyone. After Zhou and Fong Ruoshi agreed, he hung up. This old classmate of yours isn't bad. She's pretty and pure. She's also a little interested in you. You have to make your move as soon as possible. Otherwise, she will be tainted by the huge dive vat that is university, Li Xian said with a smile. Don't spout nonsense. She's just an old classmate, Zhou said. Now that we have 4 people, we're still short of one. Who do you think we should find? Li Xian scratched his hair in frustration. Is it that difficult for you, young Master Li, to find someone? Zhou looked at Li Xian and asked in puzzlement. It's really not difficult to find someone. I can get 10 to 20 people just by calling, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid that my second brother's men are among them. I'm more at ease if it's someone you find, Li Xian said. I don't know anyone at all. Zhou suddenly thought of something as he looked at Li Xian and asked, Do you know Gu Jian? Of course. How can I not know this person? He's the school's most problematic person. He beat up a senior the moment he started school. He's someone who only cares about money. As long as he's given money, he dares to do anything. Li Xian spoke for a long time before looking at Zhou suspiciously and asking, Why are you asking about him? Has he joined a club? Zhou asked again, ignoring the fact that he has no intention of joining a club. Even if he wants to, they have to dare to recruit him. Who knows? He might end up beating up his own club's members. That would be a huge joke. Wait, don't tell me you want to recruit him? Li Xian widened his eyes at Zhou. I think this person isn't bad. If there really isn't anyone else, I can give it a try, Zhou said. That won't do. Such a person will definitely be bribed by my second brother. When the time comes, he will harm us again. Li Xian shook his head repeatedly. Do you think others won't be bribed by your second brother? Zhou asked in return. Li Xian was slightly taken aback before he smiled bitterly. You're right. As long as my second brother wants to do so, it's useless no matter who we find. At least Gu Jian has a clear price. We can be wary of him. It's better than those who act one way on the surface and another, right? Zhou said. You're right. However, someone has invited Gu Jian in the past, but he didn't join. It won't be easy to invite him to join our club, Li Xian said after some thought. Can you find him? Let's give it a try, Zhou said. Chapter 136. Are you sure Gu Jian is here? Zhou looked at the myriad Buddha cave in front of him and looked at Li Xian in disbelief. There's no mistake. According to the information I obtained, Gu Jian is a freak. Ever since he enrolled in school, he hasn't slept in the dormitory. As long as he's not in school, he will definitely be in Dragon Gate Grotto. It's very normal for him to spend half a month inside. I received accurate information that he entered Myriad Buddha Cave 3 days ago and hasn't come out yet. He's definitely inside, Li Xian said. Does it look like there's anyone alive in here? Zhou said as he pointed at the Golden Warriors wandering in Myriad Buddha Cave. Golden Warriors were relatively rare dimensional creatures in Dragon Gate Grotto. They were typically at the mortal stage, and as long as there weren't many of them, the typical student could deal with them. However, the Myriad Buddha Cave's Golden Warriors were somewhat different. Not only were the Golden Warriors at the legendary stage, but they also had powerful defense. Legendary students would have to put in a lot of effort to kill them. It was very difficult to kill one. Unless there were special requests, typical legendaries wouldn't be willing to come here to kill Golden Warriors. At that moment, Zhou could see 2 to 3 Golden Warriors wandering in Myriad Buddha Cave. He didn't believe that a student could survive for 2 to 3 days inside. Even if they had the ability to fight Golden Warriors, it was impossible for them to fight for 3 days and 3 nights. Ignoring 3 days and 3 nights, just 1 day would probably exhaust them to death. The information shouldn't be wrong. Gu Jian is a freak. He often does such things. Others don't know how he can survive in a dimensional zone, but he did. There's no mistake about him being in Myriad Buddha Cave, Li Xian said with certainty. In that case, let's go in and take a look. Zhou had entered the Myriad Buddha Cave in-game and knew that the Golden Warriors inside were difficult to kill. However, the Golden Warriors weren't very fast. If he were to enter in a short period of time, all he needed to do was avoid them. Upon seeing Zhou enter, Li Xian followed him into Myriad Buddha Cave. When the Golden Warriors saw that someone had stepped into the Myriad Buddha Cave, they immediately rushed over. Their bodies were black, as though they were carved from some kind of jade. Every step they took left a deep footprint on the ground, and their bodies were extremely heavy. Li Xian drew his saber and slashed at the Golden Warrior that was charging at the front. His strike was fast and ruthless, and the saber was formed from a legendary companion beast. If an ordinary legendary creature was struck by him, even if they didn't die, their bones would be fractured. However, when the blade struck the Golden Warrior, only sparks flew and a metallic clang sounded. There was only a faint white mark on the Golden Warrior's body. Instead, Li Xian's palm turned numb from the impact. It's even harder than the legends say. Li Xian hurriedly dodged, not daring to clash head-on with the Golden Warrior. Zhou charged in with a flash, having no intention of fighting the Golden Warrior. Not only was this fellow's body hard, but also had the talent skill, Golden Bell. Unless someone wanted a primordial energy skill like Golden Bell to drop, no one was willing to waste time killing Golden Warriors. Unfortunately, the drop rate of Golden Bell was very low, making it even more unpopular for Golden Warriors. Thankfully, Golden Warriors were naturally slow, so they couldn't catch up to Zhou and Li Xian. As they ran, they dodged the Golden Warriors' attacks and charged straight into Myriad Buddha Cave. Perhaps it was because no one had come here to kill Golden Warriors in a long time. There were many Golden Warriors in the cave. Zhou and company had only charged a few hundred meters in when there were already 30 to 40 Golden Warriors chasing behind them. Is that fellow Gu Jian really here? At that moment, even Li Xian began to doubt if the news he had heard was true. No matter how he looked at it, there didn't seem to be anyone here. Just as Li Xian was about to ask if he should return, he suddenly saw a Golden Warrior rush out of the cave ahead. However, it was different from the typical pitch-black Golden Warrior. This Golden Warrior's body shimmered with golden light, and there was a golden vertical eye on its forehead. Three-eyed Golden Warrior. Li Xian immediately exclaimed when he saw the Golden Warrior. However, there was more surprise than fear in his voice. What's this? Zhou had never seen a three-eyed Golden Warrior. In the past, when he entered Myriad Buddha Cave in-game, he didn't venture deep because Golden Warriors were too difficult to kill. Even he wasn't interested. The time it took to kill a golden warrior was enough to kill more than 10 other legendary creatures. The three-eyed golden warrior is an extremely rare legendary creature. It should be considered a variant of the golden warrior, but its dimensional skill is different from the golden warrior. Most golden warriors only have two primordial energy skills, golden palm and golden bell shield. As for the three-eyed golden warrior, the primordial energy skill that drops is called invincible golden skill. It's a protective primordial energy skill that's higher than golden bell shield. Not only does it expend less primordial energy, but its defense is also stronger. Since we encountered it today, let's kill it first. It would be great if it drops invincible golden skill, Li Xian said as he charged at the three-eyed golden warrior. He used all his strength to slash at the three-eyed golden warrior, but the three-eyed golden warrior's speed was much faster than the typical golden warriors. It didn't look clumsy at all. When Li Xian slashed down, the three-eyed golden warrior actually raised its hand and grabbed Li Xian's saber in midair before twisting it forcefully. The legendary saber in Li Xian's hand was twisted like a fried dough twist. Finally, it couldn't withstand the terrifying force and broke into several pieces. My Frost Cicada's saber. Li Xian nearly vomited blood from the heartache. Recently, his luck hadn't been good. He had already sacrificed several companion beasts. Zhou flew over the three-eyed golden warrior's head and struck out with his palm, hitting the top of its head. With a clang, the rank 10 ashen palm failed to injure him at all. The three-eyed golden warrior turned its head and struck out with golden palm, striking Zhou's back like a bolt of lightning. His palm strike was like a bolt of lightning, fast and ruthless. Zhou was in midair, seemingly unable to dodge. Li Xian was alarmed as he kicked the three-eyed golden warrior and shouted, "Old Zhou, quickly dodge!" Clang! Li Xian's kick was rather forceful. Even a tree as thick as a human would be snapped by his kick, but the three-eyed golden warrior didn't seem to notice him. It ignored him and remained motionless as the golden palm continued striking at Zhou's back. In midair, Zhou suddenly drew an arc in the air like a strange bird, dodging the three-eyed golden warrior's palm strike. Zhou circled above the three-eyed golden warrior's head like an eagle. At the same time, he struck out with his palms and clashed with the three-eyed golden warrior. Li Xian couldn't interfere at all. Furthermore, a large group of golden warriors surrounded them, immediately cutting off all their paths of retreat. Chapter 137. Old Zhou, there are too many golden warriors. We can't hold them off. Quickly retreat, Li Xian shouted as he dodged the golden warrior's attacks. Hold on. Give me 3 minutes, Zhou said. 3 minutes? Even 30 minutes is difficult. The three-eyed golden warrior is just too hard. We definitely won't be able to kill it in a short period of time. Let's go back and get more people over. Let's wipe out these hindrance golden warriors first before slowly killing it. Besides, I really can't last 3 minutes, Li Xian shouted as he fought. 2 minutes, Zhou said again. F***ku. If you can't kill it, my life will be lost because of you. Li Xian gritted his teeth and summoned a companion armor to protect his body. He charged into the golden warriors and forced one of them to take a few steps back. Do you really think I'm Hello Kitty if I don't show my might? Do you really think I'm a Hello Kitty? Li Xian was as mighty as a god of war that had descended to the mortal world. His body charged forward and his fist struck out, forcefully creating a path of survival in the midst of the golden warriors. Zhou didn't have the time or the mood to appreciate Li Xian's ferocious appearance. He circled above the three-eyed golden warrior's head like a goshawk, dodging the three-eyed golden warrior's golden palm. At the same time, he struck the three-eyed golden warrior's head with palm after palm. Even with the augmentation of the lotus bracer, Zhou's palm strikes found it difficult to injure the three-eyed golden warrior. Every strike was like a collision of metal as sparks flew everywhere. Although he looked passionate, Zhou's palm strikes couldn't injure the three-eyed golden warrior at all. At most, it made the three-eyed golden warrior feel a little uncomfortable. The three-eyed golden warrior didn't have it any better either. It brandished its palm again and again, but it failed to touch the corner of Zhou's clothes. Zhou was like a huge fly that flew over its head. Roar! Even Buddha had fire, much less an irascible warrior. It was infuriated by Zhou when as the three-eyed golden warrior's palm glowed with a resplendent golden light. It used all its strength to strike at the airborne Zhou when with unparalleled ferocity. Now's the time. Zhou Wen's eyes focused as he no longer relied on his movement technique and silver wings to dodge in midair. His left hand transformed into a palm as he faced the three-eyed golden warrior's brutal golden palm with a suction force. Zhou Wen's palm was blood red, as though an invisible force had diverted the three-eyed golden warrior's palm. With a bang, the three-eyed golden warrior's full-powered golden palm struck his forehead, shattering the vertical eye on his forehead. The golden eye also exploded. The three-eyed golden warrior's body collapsed to the ground. A strange, resplendent golden light shimmered in its skull that had been shattered. Zhou Wen landed in front of the three-eyed golden warrior's corpse and reached out to touch its head. He took out a golden crystal bead the size of a goose egg. Inside, the three-eyed golden warrior's figure flashed. It was a companion egg. My recent luck with companion eggs seems pretty good. Zhou Wen was delighted. Old Zhou, don't just stand there. I can't hold on any longer. Quickly come and help, Li Xian shouted. Zhou Wen turned his head and saw that he was surrounded by a group of golden warriors. Golden palms were coming from all directions, leaving Li Xian dizzy. His armor was covered in cracks, and he was about to explode. However, Li Xian's immortal god of combat life providence and invincible connate divine art were truly resilient. After being struck countless times, he didn't faint despite being beaten into a pig's head. However, the situation didn't look good. Zhou Wen threw the companion egg into his backpack and flapped the silver wings on his back. Instantly, he transformed into a silver beam of light that swept past Li Xian. He reached out and lifted Li Xian into the air before landing on the Buddha statue on the mountain wall. "Don't touch those Buddha statues!" Li Xian immediately shouted when he saw this, his face filled with horror. However, it was already too late. Zhou Wen lifted him with both hands and stepped on the Buddha statue's shoulder with one foot. He used the momentum to soar into the air again. "It's over. It's over. I say, old Zhou, you are really trying to take my life? In the future, you should just stay at home and game. Even if I had 10 lives, it wouldn't be enough for me to come out with you." Li Xian nearly cried. There were countless Buddha statues in the myriad Buddha cave. Before it became a dimensional zone, there were more than 10,000 of them. After it became a dimensional zone, the number was incalculable. In the myriad Buddha cave, anything could be touched except the Buddha statues. Once touched, the Buddha statues would awaken. Although they wouldn't really stand up, with the awakening of the Buddha statues, all the dimensional creatures in the myriad Buddha cave would go berserk. Their strength would greatly increase. Not only would their strength increase, but their bodies would also become harder. Even speed, which was originally their weakness, would become extremely fast. Just thinking about how terrifying a group of golden warriors with acceleration was made it impossible for the two of them, who were at the legendary stage, to rush out of the myriad Buddha cave alive. However, Zhou Wen ignored Li Xian. After soaring into the air, he landed on the legs of a Buddha statue that was sitting higher. "Old Zhou, why are you still stepping on them? Do you think we haven't died enough?" Li Xian felt that his name had been written in King Yama's book. The golden warriors below couldn't come up, nor did they dare touch the Buddha statue. As for Zhou Wen and Li Xian, they stood on it for quite a while, but there was no movement from the Buddha statue. Li Xian looked at the Buddha statue in puzzlement. Could it be that these Buddha statues haven't woken up today? Perhaps, Zhou Wen said casually as he searched the myriad Buddha cave. He had entered the myriad Buddha cave in-game, so he naturally knew that these Buddha statues couldn't be touched. However, that was before he used the small perfection of Wisdom Sutra. As long as Zhou Wen switched his primordial energy art to the small perfection of Wisdom Sutra, he wouldn't anger the Buddha statues no matter how much he touched them. After all, the Buddha statue was only an image and not a real Buddha. Even a real Buddha had mistaken Zhou Wen for a bodhisattva. so the Buddha statues naturally couldn't tell him apart. This was because Zhou Wen's small perfection of Wisdom Sutra's level was too low. If he cultivated it to an extremely high realm, typical Buddha-type creatures would probably bow to him and not dare fight him. After all, golden warriors were low-level dimensional creatures without much intelligence. They didn't have the ability to sense such a weak, small perfection of Wisdom Sutra aura. I say, old Zhou, stop hugging me. Put me down first. Li Xian had been too nervous just now. Now that he relaxed, he realized that Zhou Wen was still carrying him in a princess carry without putting him down. I'll carry you. Zhou Wen didn't know if his small perfection of Wisdom Sutra could protect Li Xian. It was fine for him to step on it, but he didn't know if anything would happen to Li Xian. I know I'm handsome, but you can't have impure thoughts about me just because I'm handsome. Li Xian leaped out of Zhou Wen's embrace and stood on the Buddha statue's knee. Boom! Just as Li Xian stood still, he suddenly felt the Buddha statue shake violently, nearly throwing him off. As for the Buddha statue's eyes, they suffused golden light. Chapter 138. Li Xian jumped in fright as he wrapped his arms around Zhou Wen's neck and hung onto him. However, it was already too late. The Buddha statues didn't stop transforming. The eyes of the countless Buddha statues in Myriad Buddha Cave emitted golden light, illuminating Myriad Buddha Cave with a resplendent golden glow. The eyes of the ordinary golden warriors also turned golden. Their black, jade-like bodies suffused a golden glow as they stared intently at Zhou Wen and Li Xian. They probably can't come up, right? Li Xian swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said with difficulty. Just as Li Xian said that, he saw a golden halo appear beneath the feet of the golden warriors. Li Xian's face turned green when he saw them levitate on the golden light. Come here. Just as the golden warriors were about to charge over on the golden light, they suddenly heard a low and hoarse voice from above. Zhou Wen and Li Xian were alarmed as they hurriedly looked up. In the middle of the Buddha statues, a person had half his body peeking out and was waving at them. The ferocious face that resembled a ferocious ghost made it obvious that it was Gu Jian. Why is Gu Jian here? Li Xian said in surprise. However, Zhou Wen wasn't in the mood to speak to Li Xian. He carried him and leaped up. The silver wings on his back flapped, and he quickly arrived at where Gu Jian was standing. At that moment, the two of them realized that Gu Jian was standing in the middle of two Buddha statues. There was a stone crack there. Gu Jian retreated and allowed the two of them to enter the stone crack before leading them inside. The golden warriors stepped on the golden light, but they didn't dare touch the Buddha statues. All they could do was surround them from the outside and fail to catch up. Zhou Wen and Li Xian followed Gu Jian in for a distance before the stone crack suddenly opened up. It was an uncarved stone cave. The cave wasn't small. There was a pool at the bottom. There was a clear spring in the pool that looked very clear. There were also some daily necessities in the cave. It looked like Gu Dian's items. Wait an hour. The outside will return to normal. You can leave, Gu Jian said coldly. Old Gu, we came specially to find you. We plan on registering a club and want to invite you to join. Li Xian and Zhou Wen exchanged looks and directly explained their intentions. Not interested, Gu Jian said without raising his head. Don't be in such a hurry to reject it. Our club's benefits are very good. We'll have a member allowance every month. When Li Xian heard that Gu Jian loved money, he hurriedly used the silver bullet he was best at. 100,000 a month. I'll join if you pay, Gu Jian said. 100,000 was nothing to Li Xian, but Gu Dian's attitude pissed him off. Furthermore, he had never heard of any club using money to buy members. Wasn't that a joke? Li Xian wanted to say something, but he was stopped by Zhou Wen. Zhou Wen looked at Gu Jian and said, registering a club requires 5 members. Now, there are only 4 of us. We are still short of 1. We wish to invite you to join us. Gu Xian's words. Gu, and if you don't, I say I long you, I Xian Gu, and in one Gu. All right, 10,000 it is. Li Xian, pay up. Zhou Wen agreed readily, but he still had to pay Li Xian. It costs 10,000 just for registration. Isn't this money a little too easy to earn? Li Xian said reluctantly. Anyway, I can't find anyone else. Find someone or pay. Choose one, Zhou said as he spread out his hands. Even if I want to pay, I need a signal. How do I transfer money in this crappy place? Li Xian said gloomily. Then it's settled. Come back with us later. I'll transfer the money to you when there's a signal, Zhou said to Gu Jian. Sure. Gu Jian began packing his things after saying that. Gu Jian reached out to take something from a mattress and stuffed it into his pocket. Zhou had been observing Gu Jian the entire time, so Gu Dian's actions left him somewhat puzzled. When Gu Jian took the item, he clearly used his body to block their line of sight, as though he didn't want them to see it. However, Zhou had been wearing the Truth Listener earring during the battle. With the Truth Listener earring's strange hearing, Zhou could still hear the item's appearance. As Truth Listener only had hearing and not real sight, Zhou only knew that it was a pocket watch. Its outer shell was likely made of metal, but he had no idea what color it was. However, there was a strange pattern engraved on the pocket watch. Zhou seemed to have seen it somewhere before. After all, he could only hear it. There was no color, so it was definitely different from real sight. Therefore, Zhou couldn't recall where he had seen it before. He stared at Gu Jian, who was packing his things, in deep thought. After a while, Zhou's eyes suddenly lit up. He finally recalled where he had seen a similar pattern. The pattern on the pocket watch was an anchor, but it was somewhat different from the typical anchor pattern. There was a woman's side profile engraved on it. According to what Zhou knew, it was a taboo for people to go fishing in the past. They typically wouldn't let women follow them out to sea, nor would they carve female patterns on the boat. Therefore, when Zhou saw the anchor pattern, he had a deep impression of it. The last time he saw this pattern was when he followed Ouyang Lan to the Shiyuan crystal shop. In the room on basement 4, there was a silver-haired companion beast chained up. Behind the chain was a metal block the size of a millstone. There were 9 squares on the metal block, and on the side of the metal block, there was an anchor pattern. However, Zhou's mind was focused on the 9 squares, so he didn't pay much attention to the anchor pattern. Furthermore, the pattern on the metal block was very big, but the pattern on the pocket watch was very small. Therefore, Zhou thought for a while before recalling it. Is it a coincidence? Zhou frowned and thought. Although the two patterns were very different in size, and Zhou didn't see the color of the anchor on the pocket watch, he could tell from the structure of the pattern that it was indeed the same painting. Old Zhou, what did the three-eyed golden warrior drop? Quickly take it out and let's see, Li Xian said. Zhou took out the companion egg dropped by the three-eyed golden warrior and handed it to Li Xian. When Li Xian took a look, his eyes lit up as he exclaimed, "Why is your life so good? You actually dropped a three-eyed golden warrior companion egg. It's worth it. It's worth it. There are too few of them. We might not be able to buy them, even with money." Chapter 139. You like it? Zhou asked Li Xian. Of course. Who wouldn't like it? It's something that can only be chanced upon. I've only heard of it in the past. I don't even know what kind of companion form it is, Li Xian said. Take it if you like it, Zhou said. Are you serious? Don't you want it for yourself? Li Xian was slightly taken aback. Of course, but you have to give me my share. It can't be lower than the market price, Zhou said. The three-eyed golden warrior companion egg might be rare to others, but to Zhou, it was only slightly difficult to obtain. If he wanted it, he could come to the Myriad Buddha cave a few more times in-game in the future. It wouldn't be difficult to obtain it. Since he couldn't take out the companion eggs in-game, it was best to exchange them for money in real life. Money isn't a problem, but are you sure you don't want to keep it for yourself? This thing is really something that can only be chanced upon. Even if its companion form isn't satisfactory, its strength makes it a rare companion beast. It can be used as a meat shield and charge ahead. Very few people can injure it. It's a rare, excellent grade, Li Xian said. I don't need it now. If I need it in the future, I'll just come to the Myriad Buddha cave to drop another one, Zhou said with a smile. Drop another one? That's easy for you to say. Ignoring the fact that the three-eyed golden warrior is extremely rare and it takes months for one to appear, The chances of a companion egg dropping after killing it is less than 20%. Li Xian looked at Zhou, one as though he was looking at an idiot. What's the point of saying so much? If you don't want it, give it to me, Zhou said as he extended his hand in front of Li Xian. Yes, but don't regret it. Li Xian hurriedly clenched the companion egg in his hand. Gu Dian said that it would take an hour for the myriad Buddha cave to return to normal. There was still a lot of time, so Li Xian couldn't help but hatch the three-eyed golden warrior. Wow, invulnerable golden skill. Great golden palm. 2 skills. Wow, the companion form is actually golden silk soft armor. This look is really cool. Li Xian summoned the golden silk soft armor that the three-eyed golden warrior had transformed into and deliberately walked in front of Zhou. From time to time, he would let out exaggerated exclamations. Clearly, he was deliberately showing off. However, Zhou treated him as air and ignored him. He lowered his head to game and grind. Seeing that Zhou was ignoring him, Li Xian felt a little bored. He abandoned Zhou and went to Gu Dian to show off. He summoned the three-eyed golden warrior and praised. Look at its size. Look at how domineering it is. It's a rare supreme grade one. Old Gu, you have lived in the myriad Buddha cave for so long. Have you seen anyone else with such a companion beast? Pay me, and I'll say no. Gu Dian looked up at Li Xian with a serious expression. Boring. The two of you are really boring. Li Xian felt that being with the two of them was like playing the lute to a cow. He had artistic cells, but no one appreciated it. It was just too depressing. After waiting for an hour, the myriad Buddha cave indeed returned to normal. The Golden Warriors had also returned to their original appearances. The trio rushed out together and didn't get entangled with the Golden Warriors. After getting Feng Ruoxi and Tian Xiangdong over, the 5 of them filled in the application form and returned to await news. The school said that it would be approved within a week. Li Xian said that he would handle the matter and told Zhou not to worry about it. Their application for the Xianwen Club would be approved tomorrow. Zhou originally didn't plan on interfering and planned on returning to game, but to his surprise, he bumped into Wang Fei on the way and was called to her office by her. Zhou, have you considered the matter I mentioned previously? Wang Fei asked. Counselor, I've already said that I won't run away. It wasn't that Zhou had to fight John, but that he had nowhere to go. All right, since you were so insistent, I won't persuade you. Considering that you might be representing the school in battle, you can mention it now if you have any needs. The school will try its best to support you, Wang Fei said. Zhou thought for a moment and said, I want the pass to Tiger Cage Pass and Lotus Flower Cave. I wonder if that's possible. Of course, that's not a problem. If you need it, I can help you apply for a few more passes. Wang Fei agreed readily. Wang Fei felt very gratified. Although Zhou had almost no chance of winning the battle with John, it was worth it to be able to stir Zhou's fighting spirit. That's for the best. Thank you, Counselor. Zhou expressed his gratitude. He didn't really want the pass to train himself, but to find a reasonable excuse for summoning demonized generals and using primordial energy skills in the future. There's no failure when you're young. The most important thing is not to leave any regrets. Work hard and don't let yourself regret it in the future. Before Zhou left, Wang Fei even encouraged him. Zhou felt that Counselor Wang Fei was a nice person, just a little too naggy. That afternoon, Wang Fei got someone to give Zhou a few passes. Apart from Tiger Cage Pass and Lotus Flower Cave, there were a few dimensional zones that the school had closed. Typical students couldn't enter them. After Zhou obtained the pass, he went to Tiger Cage Pass. He had entered Tiger Cage Pass, but he didn't kill any monsters. After killing demonized soldiers for a while, he found a place without demonized soldiers. There happened to be an old war chariot there. He lay down in the war chariot and began grinding monsters on his phone. There were quite a number of black-winged flying ants outside Ant City. They were all legendary creatures, and their combat strength was about the same as the silver-winged flying ant. However, they weren't as agile as the silver-winged flying ant Zhou when summoned Truth Listener, the mutated lotus flower ant, the silver-winged flying ant, and the mutated demonized general in their pet form. Together with the blood-colored avatar, they charged towards Ant City. The mutated, demonized general charged in front, the silver-winged flying ant in the air, the mutated lotus flower ant and truth listener behind, and the blood-colored avatar in the middle. The grinding team bravely charged into the black-winged ants. They were all at the legendary stage, but Zhou Wen's companion beasts were much more ferocious than the black-winged flying ants. The mutated, demonized general charged and cleaved with the strange spear in its hand, killing several black-winged flying ants. The lotus flower on the mutated lotus flower ant's head spewed out a large number of red lotus seed bullets. The black-winged flying ants that were struck by the bullets immediately had their wings corroded, causing them to lose their ability to fly. When they landed on the ground, their combat strength was greatly reduced. They were beheaded by Truth Listener's tiny claws. What surprised Zhou when the most was Truth Listener. Although it was tiny and not even the size of a palm, its pair of claws were like ghostly claws. It could pluck the black-winged flying ant's head off with a single strike. Zhou Wen originally imagined that it would be a bitter battle, but now he realized that he didn't need to take action at all. All he needed to do was follow behind and pick up the items. The 4 companion beasts charged forward, and from time to time, there would be tinkling sounds. Many dimensional crystals dropped to the ground, and a black-winged, flying ant companion egg even dropped. Chapter 140. Following behind his pets to pick up items made Zhou Wen feel guilty for reaping without sowing. It's no wonder so many people wanted to be generals in ancient times. It sure feels good to have a group of lackeys sweep through everything and reap the spoils of war myself. In a blink of an eye, Zhou Wen threw the sliver of guilt to the back of his mind and continued picking up items with a clear conscience. A strength 17-dimensional crystal. Zhou Wen hurriedly picked up the crystal and got the blood-colored avatar to absorb it, raising his strength to 17 points. This was Zhou Wen's highest stat at present. It was relatively common for legendary creatures to drop dimensional crystals below 15 points. Crystals above 15 points were relatively rare. This was the first one with 17 points. Ever since Zhou Wen began grinding legendary oddities, he hadn't seen a 20-value dimensional crystal. This worried him. How could he raise his stats to 21 points? According to his previous experience, he had to raise his stats to the same level as a mythical creature like Truth Listener before he could advance the Lost Immortal Sutra to the next level. Truth Listener at the legendary stage had all its stats at 21, so Zhou Wen naturally had to raise his stats to 21. With the 4 powerful pets charging forward, the blood-colored avatar had already stormed into Ant City. Immediately, a large number of ants rushed out of the ant nest. These ants were somewhat different from the black-winged flying ants. Some were red-armored ants, while others were black-armored ants. Most of them were yellow-armored ants. Their numbers were terrifying, but they couldn't fly and could only attack on the ground. The blood-colored avatar and the 4 pets immediately fell into an endless sea of ants. Although the ferocious, mutated, demonized general managed to kill a few ants with a single charge, even more ants surged forward, dragging him into the swamp-like sea of ants. Zhou Wen didn't hesitate as he got the blood-colored avatar to jump onto the silver-winged flying ant's back and soar into the sky, flying towards the center of Ant City. He got the mutated, demonized general to hold back the ant horde for as long as possible. As many black-winged flying ants had been killed previously, there weren't that many ants that could fly after entering Ant City. Under the cover of the ant nest, the silver-winged flying ant dodged left and right as it rapidly flashed through the air, approaching the strange ant nest at the highest point in the middle. A black-winged flying ant charged at him, leaving the silver-winged flying ant powerless to dodge. The blood-colored avatar struck out with Ashen Palm, striking the black-winged flying ant in the head. The black-winged flying ant immediately seemed to turn silly as it flew in a slanted manner before plummeting to the ground. Zhou Wen didn't use any other primordial energy skills because the expenditure was too great. He would be drained of primordial energy after using it twice. Only Ashen Palm's primordial energy expenditure was relatively low. With Zhou Wen's primordial energy recovery speed, he could barely maintain it. However, that was only on the basis of occasional use. As more and more black-winged flying ants charged at him, Zhou Wen was no longer able to use Ashen Palm. Seeing that he was about to be surrounded by the black-winged flying ants, Zhou Wen looked at the distance between the blood-colored avatar and the ant nest. Gritting his teeth, he leaped up from the silver-winged flying ant's back. The silver-winged flying ant charged at the black-winged flying ant while he took the opportunity to use Dragon Gate Fairy skill to rush to the top of an ant nest by the side. Using the momentum, he leaped up again and charged towards the ant nest that emitted golden light at the highest point. In the ant nest behind him, several ants pounced at the blood-colored avatar. Thankfully, they were red-armored ants without wings. The blood-colored avatar circled in the air with Dragon Gate Fairy skill, causing the red-armored ants to miss as they plummeted to the ground. As the blood-colored avatar slid towards the golden ant nest, two black-winged flying ants charged over from the left and right. The silver-winged flying ant was already surrounded by a horde of black-winged flying ants. Its wings had been torn apart, and it was being eaten. It was no longer possible for it to help him. As for Dragon Gate Fairy skill, it was only a form of alacrity and not a flying technique. Zhou Wen's strength had already reached its limits. If he didn't use the momentum, it was impossible for him to dodge the two black-winged flying ants' attack. Gritting his teeth, Zhou Wen summoned a green beam of light from the blood-colored avatar's palm, transforming into a fairy sitting on a banana leaf. Before the fairy could figure out the situation in front of her, the blood-colored avatar stepped on her banana leaf and used the momentum to leap into the air again. However, the fairy tumbled down along with the banana leaf. It wasn't easy for the fairy to regain control of the banana leaf. Her face, which was still covered in dust, was filled with anger as she pointed at the blood-colored avatar in the sky, shouting something. With the force of the step, the blood-colored avatar finally dodged the two black-winged ants' attack. Like a cannonball, it slammed into the shimmering ant nest. Bam! The ant nest wasn't as sturdy as Zhou Wen imagined. A huge hole was blasted open as the blood-colored avatar rolled in with the mud. The scene in the nest left Zhou Wen slightly taken aback. The so-called golden light wasn't a treasure. The bottom half of the nest was filled with a golden liquid that was as thick as a gel. Zhou Wen remembered hearing that there were some types of ants that could brew honey like bees. Furthermore, these ants that could brew honey were terrifying poisonous ants. However, the honey they brewed was nourishing and even had medicinal value. Of course, these were all rumors that Zhou Wen had heard. He didn't know if it was true, but the golden liquid in the nest looked like ant honey no matter how he looked at it. After the blood-colored avatar slammed into the nest, it fell into the golden liquid. Immediately, it felt like it had fallen into a swamp. The more it struggled, the deeper it sank. However, when the blood-colored avatar's mouth touched the golden liquid, it felt a sweet fragrance enter its mouth. It made Zhou Wen even more certain that it was the legendary ant honey. Consumed golden ant honey. Primordial energy +1. A notification popped up on the phone screen, leaving Zhou Wen slightly taken aback before he was overjoyed. Just as he was about to control the blood-colored avatar to drink a few more mouthfuls, he suddenly heard an ear-piercing screech. He looked up and saw a flying ant that looked like it was made of gold. It flew down angrily from the top of the nest, its speed as fast as a golden phantom. Zhou Wen only had time to see the golden flying ant's appearance before the blood-colored avatar was killed by a golden beam of light. Its head and body were separated. However, in his final vision, Zhou Wen saw something that resembled a cocoon floating in the upper half of the nest. It was snow-white and crystalline, but he had no idea what it was. Without any time to take a closer look, the phone screen went black. Ants seemed to be oviparous, right? That thing was clearly a cocoon formed from thin threads. Could it be that the ants of the dimension also have cocoons? Zhou Wen found it odd. The cocoon's aura seemed different from the golden flying ants. Chapter 141. Just as Zhou was about to drip a drop of blood to revive and continue fighting, he suddenly heard voices coming from afar. Furthermore, the voices became clearer, as though someone was walking over. "Brother, is that thing really inside Tiger Cage Pass?" A woman's voice sounded. Although it wasn't loud and was a little far away, Zhou could still hear it clearly with Truth Listener's ability. "Tiger Cage Pass is the most likely place." A man's voice sounded. "If that thing is really inside Tiger Cage Pass, with our strength, there's no way we can rush in. I'm afraid this trip will be for nothing," the woman added. "That might not be the case," the man said with a smile. "The person inside Tiger Cage Pass isn't an ordinary epic. I'm afraid we won't even be able to withstand a single arrow from him. How are we to rush into Tiger Cage Pass?" The woman said. "We definitely can't force our way in, but I know a way to rush into Tiger Cage Pass." The man paused for a moment before continuing. "Tiger Cage Pass has 3 mutated demonized generals: Fist, Paper, and Saber. If we can gather the skills of the 3 demonized generals, we can use their skills to destroy that arrow. When the time comes, as long as we can approach Tiger Cage Pass, we can use that secret passageway to secretly enter. There are very few mutated demonized generals to begin with. It's easier said than done to have 3 skills drop," the woman said. "Let's take it slow. After all, we still have to stay at Sunset College for another 2 years. If we're lucky, we might be able to gather all 3 primordial energy skills," the man said. Zhou lay in the dilapidated war chariot and heard their conversation clearly. As the two spoke, they walked far away without noticing Zhou. These two should be the siblings Wu Jun and Wu Nan from the top 10, right? They actually know so much about Tiger Cage Pass and even know some secret passageway. What are they talking about? Zhou used Truth Listener's ability and knew their appearances, so he easily recognized them. However, the behavior of this pair of brother and sister seemed a little strange. However, none of this had anything to do with Zhou. He continued grinding in the war chariot, hoping to enter the golden flying ants' nest to drink a few mouthfuls of ant honey. He hadn't made sufficient preparations the last time and had only taken a sip. If he had made sufficient preparations, Zhou felt that he would be able to fill his stomach. However, when Zhou finally rushed to the ant nest at the highest point after experiencing all the dangers, he saw a golden flash before he could enter the nest. The golden flying ant rushed out of the nest and killed the blood-colored avatar outside the nest. It didn't give him a chance to enter. Unwilling to give up, Zhou went again, but the outcome was the same. He didn't even have the chance to enter the nest before he was killed by the golden flying ant. How could this be? Logically speaking, the game's program should be fixed. The first time I went, the golden flying ant was in the nest. It only attacked after I rushed in. Why did it come out before the blood-colored avatar could rush into the lair the second and third times? Zhou was somewhat depressed. There seemed to be no hope of drinking the golden ant honey. All Zhou could do was grind the other dungeons. When grinding dungeons, Zhou would also make a trip to Myriad Buddha Cave to see if there were any 3-eyed golden warriors. There were 3-eyed golden warriors, but their locations were different every time. Zhou needed some time to find them. With the mutated, demonized general leading the way on horseback, the golden warriors were knocked away by him, allowing Zhou to advance much faster. After finding the 3-eyed golden warrior, the mutated, demonized general clashed head-on with it. It didn't gain much of an advantage, but it wasn't at a disadvantage either. The collision between the Great Strength Golden Palm and Astral Fist was like Mars colliding with Earth. The resulting blast could send the Golden Warriors flying. However, although the 3-eyed Golden Warrior was strong, its speed and offensive means were still inferior to the mutated demonized general. Zhou used the Astral Suction Palm to help the mutated demonized general kill the 3-eyed Golden Warrior. It dropped an 18 valued Constitution crystal, raising Zhou's Constitution to 18. Time passed as Zhou grinded. His life was very regular. He would go to Tiger Cage Pass and Lotus Flower Cave every day. Wang Fei was gratified to know how diligent Zhou was. However, she didn't know that after Zhou entered the dimensional space, he was simply looking for a place to game. Who was that boy? Why haven't I seen him before? He's so handsome. A few girls were walking on campus when they suddenly saw a boy walking over. After taking a closer look at his face, their eyes lit up. Really? Our school actually has such a handsome guy. Why didn't we notice him in the past? A girl couldn't move her eyes away. In their eyes, the boy was perfect from head to toe. His entire body seemed to emit light. When the boy saw them looking at him, he smiled at them. The girls immediately felt their hearts race as they lowered their heads in embarrassment, too embarrassed to look at the boy again. By the time they raised their heads again, the boy had already disappeared. Damn it. I should have asked him for his phone number. A girl stomped her feet in regret. The door isn't locked. Come in, Wei Gu said casually when he heard a knock on the door as he was organizing the student union's work. When the door was pushed open, Wei Gu felt something amiss. It was as though the person wasn't a member of the student union, so he looked up. With this glance, Wei Gu felt a sense of hostility. The boy in front of him was simply the model of his ideal man. He was elegant, mature, steady, and had the temperament of a noble. Just by standing there, it was impossible to ignore his existence. It was as if he was the center of the world, like repels like. With just a glance, Wei Gu had already classified the boy as his opponent. Hello, I'm John. The boy extended his hand proactively and said in a friendly manner, So it's John. I'm Wei Gu, the student president of Sunset College. I've already received a notice from the school that I'll be responsible for your daily life while you're studying at Sunset College. Vago stood up and reached out to hold John's hand. His gaze met John's. Hard-to-death gaze was as pure as a tranquil ocean, without any ripples. Their hands clasped together. Wei Gu wore a smile as he secretly exerted strength in his palm. He wanted to test Wei Ji's strength. Wei Gu had long heard that John had the title of a saint in the West District. He was an extremely famous genius in the West District. Wei Gu didn't believe that he was inferior to John, but when he gradually exerted strength in his palm, his expression changed. No matter how much strength Wei Gu exerted, John's palm didn't seem to change at all. It was still warm and powerful, as though it wasn't affected at all. Even the expression on his face was as gentle as ever. Wei Gu felt that John was like an unfathomable sea. No one knew what kind of terror lay beneath that tranquility. Chapter 142. John, welcome to Sunset College. I'll take you to your dorm first. Wei Gu retracted his palm, his expression uncertain. I'll have to trouble you then, Hardadef said with a smile. By the way, I heard that your Sunset College produced a genius this year. A first-year student who hasn't advanced to the legendary stage managed to enter the top 10 of the comprehensive test. Wei Gu was a smart person. Upon hearing John's words, he immediately had a guess. Could it be that this John has a grudge with Zhouwen? Although he had this thought in mind, Wei Gu said, There's indeed such a junior. His talent and character are excellent. I heard his name is Zhouwen. John asked again. That's right. You know him? Wei Gu asked. I don't know him. I just heard that Sunset College has produced such a genius. I have some yearning for him. If there's a chance, I hope to spar with him. Hardadef's words were very clear. Wei Gu was even more certain of his thoughts, but he avoided answering. All he did was smile and say, I'll take you to your dorm first. The school leaders will arrange everything else. John nodded with a calm expression. He didn't speak further about the matter and chatted with Wei Gu about Sunset College's glorious history and interesting news. News of John's arrival at Sunset College quickly spread. Even if the school didn't publicize it, a tall and handsome student like John, who had obvious West District looks and characteristics, would easily attract the attention of others when he appeared on campus. John is indeed the same as the rumors say, a genius with both beauty and strength. The title of a saint is indeed not in vain. What do you mean by as expected? You've never seen his strength, have you? Maybe she's just a pretty but useless embroidered pillow. Generally, good-looking men aren't too weak. The one who said this was obviously a girl. The students of Sunset College were discussing this genius student from the West District, especially since he was born in the Cape family, one of the 6 heroes. This added a mysterious halo to him. Many experts in the school hoped to fight with Hardadef, but this was not something they could decide themselves. They still had to listen to the arrangements of the school leaders. Sunset College had carefully selected a list of students to accompany Hardadef. There were a total of 5 people, including Huang Ji, Wei Ge, Hui Haifeng, Wang Lu, and Feng Qiuyan. In consideration of Zhou Wen's past with Liz, the school didn't include him in the list. When Hardadef saw the list, he didn't say much, but the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, revealing an ordinary smile. Zhou Wen also heard the news of Hardadef's arrival, but he didn't take it to heart. With his present strength and a few legendary companion beasts with astonishing combat strength, it could be said that he had no fear of any cultivator of the same level. If Hardadef really wanted to fight him, he wouldn't back down. He continued gaming and grinding dungeons every day. He had obtained quite a number of dimensional crystals and companion beasts, increasing his stats significantly. Apart from his speed, his other stats had increased to 18 points. His speed was at 17 points. However, he didn't obtain any better supreme grade companion beasts. Most of them were fed to Truth Listener, Banana Fairy, and company as food. A small number of them attempted to fuse with them, but they failed. The success rate of fusion was so low that it was hair-raising. Eating more clearly had its benefits. After eating countless legendary companion eggs, Banana Fairy finally began to evolve. Banana Fairy, who had evolved to the legendary stage, didn't change much. Her body was still petite and exquisite, and she hadn't grown at all. Instead, the banana leaf she was sitting on had grown a lot bigger, but it was only the size of a palm. Banana Fairy, legendary, evolvable, life providence, great spirit root strength, 21 speed, 21 constitution, 21 primordial energy, 21 talent skill, Grand wind companion form. Fan apart from having a life providence and having his stats grow to the same level as Truth Listener, there weren't any changes in other aspects. His only skill was still Grand Wind. The Great Spirit Root seemed to have a certain augmentation effect on the Grand Wind. Zhou Wen tested the might of the Grand Wind in-game. With a gentle flap, he sent a few black-winged flying ants flying dozens of feet away. Furthermore, their bodies were covered in frost, nearly freezing them into ice sculptures. They completely lost their combat strength as they stiffly curled into a ball and trembled. What a powerful Grand Wind. Unfortunately, I can only use it once. Zhou Wen realized that the Grand Wind was completely uncontrollable. As long as he used it, it would suck away all his primordial energy in one go, leaving nothing behind. After advancing to the legendary stage, Truth Listener and Banana Fairy became somewhat restless. Zhou Wen often felt their thoughts, hoping that he could release them. When there was no one around, Zhou Wen would release them for some fresh air. Truth Listener was rather obedient as it squatted beside Zhou Wen and pricked up its 4 ears to listen. It was unknown what it was listening to. Banana Fairy wasn't that obedient. She sat on the banana leaf and flew around like a fly. Her tiny mouth was even making noises. Thankfully, Zhou Wen didn't have any other strengths, but he was focused. No matter how noisy Banana Fairy was beside him, Zhou Wen acted as though he didn't hear or see anything. He continued gaming without being affected at all. Wang Fei was originally worried that Hardadef would cause trouble for Zhou Wen, but Hardadef didn't express any objections to the exchange list. He didn't mention Zhou Wen either, as though he didn't know of Zhou Wen's existence. In just 3 to 4 days after arriving at Sunset College, Hardadef received unanimous praise from the teachers and students, especially the female students. They almost treated Hardadef as their Prince Charming. In the sparring with a few exchange students, Hardadef's sword techniques were tied with Wei Ji's. His barehanded combat techniques were tied with Hui Haifeng's. His saber techniques were on par with Feng Qiuyan's, and his alacrity was in no way inferior to Wang Lu's. Apart from not fighting Huang Ji, Hardadef and the other 4 top students of Sunset College fought to a draw. Although he didn't win, he didn't lose either. However, many students believed that Hardadef was stronger because he hadn't used the primordial energy skill holy light judgment, that he had used to obtain the title of saint. A primordial energy skill, like holy light judgment, wasn't something that could be learned with dimensional crystals. Before that, one had to have one of the Cape family's 6 heroes, the Covenant Royal Court physique, to be able to absorb the primordial energy skill crystal and master a terrifying primordial energy skill like holy light judgment. In just a few days, Hardadef became synonymous with humility, elegance, nobility, and gentlemanliness. Even Wei Guo, who was originally the most popular among female students, was overshadowed by Hardadef. Chapter 143. At night, Li Xian came to Zhou Wen's dormitory and said to him with a heavy expression, "Zhou Wen, you have to be careful. That John is very terrifying." "What's wrong?" Zhou Wen asked Li Xian in puzzlement. "Don't you find it strange? He definitely knows about you and Liz, but he hasn't mentioned it at all in the 4 days he's been at school. Don't you think this person is too gloomy?" Li Xian said. "Isn't it good that he doesn't mention it?" Zhou Wen said. "Just because he doesn't mention it doesn't mean he won't find trouble with you. Anyway, I think something's amiss. You have to be careful and don't get scammed by him. By the way, it's best you don't agree to spar with him. Do you know what Wei Ge said about him?" Li Xian said. "I don't know." Zhou Wen shook his head. "Unfathomable." Li Xian continued. "Although Wei Ji's character isn't much, he's still strong. If even he says that John is unfathomable, then John's strength must be very terrifying. Unless it's absolutely necessary, it's best not to fight him." "All right, I'll remember that." Zhou Wen nodded in agreement. As long as John didn't cause trouble for him, he had no intention of fighting him. How can fighting be as interesting as grinding monsters in-game? It's not like I'll drop equipment or pets when I hit someone, Zhou Wen thought. After sending Li Xian off, Zhou Wen continued gaming in bed. When he entered Myriad Buddha Cave again, he killed another 3-eyed golden warrior and a companion egg dropped. My 3-eyed golden warrior companion egg is finally back. Zhou Wen was delighted as he hurriedly checked its stats. 3-eyed golden warrior, legendary life providence, golden body strength, 18 speed, 14 constitution, 18 primordial energy, 17 talent skill, invulnerable golden palm, golden fiend subduing fist companion form, golden silk soft armor. This 3-eyed golden warrior actually had 3 rare skills. Furthermore, its stats were better than Li Xian's. It was basically the maximum value. The 3-eyed golden warrior's speed wasn't fast to begin with. 14 points was its limit. Li Xian's one only had 13 points, making it slower than Zhou Wen's. Its strength and primordial energy were also slightly lower than Zhou Wen's. Only its constitution was the same. Although its stats were inferior to a demonized general's, the life providence of Golden Body made the 3-eyed golden warrior more resilient than a demonized general. It was an excellent meat shield pet. With the 3-eyed golden warrior in front of him, Zhou Wen had more room to maneuver. As for the Vajra subduing devil fist, its powers seemed to be inferior to the mighty Vajra palm, but was better than nothing. The Xianwen Club was finally officially established. In order to celebrate the birth of the Xianwen Club, Li Xian organized the first club activity. He gathered all the club members and planned on training in a dimensional zone. Although Gu Jian was only in name, Li Xian still sent him a message, hoping that he could participate. Zhou Wen and Li Xian didn't expect him to come, but to their surprise, Gu Jian really came during the gathering. 1-1. Li, Dong Gu Li, 1-1-1 I Li Wen Gu. Zhou Wen and Li Xian didn't expect him to come, but to their surprise, Gu Jian really came during the gathering. "That's right. Shall we go together?" Li Xian said with a smile. Zhou Wen and Li Xian roughly understood his personality, so they didn't mind. After calling Feng Ruoxi and Tian Xiangdong, the 5 of them set off for Dragon Sect's ancient Yang Cave. Zhou Wen and Li Xian roughly understood his personality, so they didn't mind. After calling Feng Ruoxi and Tian Xiangdong, the 5 of them set off for Dragon Gate Research's ancient Yang Cave. After ancient Yang Cave became a dimensional zone, the Dragon Gate's 19 pieces also discovered changes. It produced a legendary creature, the mounted tablet beast. The purpose of Li Xian's club activity was to fight the mounted tablet beast. The mounted tablet beast looked extremely odd. It was a stone turtle with a stone tablet on its back. Its movements were extremely slow, but its body was extremely hard. Like golden warriors, it was a legendary creature that was extremely difficult to kill. The difference was that no one liked to kill golden warriors, but many people wanted to kill mounted tablet beasts. This was because although they were difficult to kill, they could drop excellent primordial energy skills. Furthermore, the drop rate was rather high. According to the different inscriptions, there were a total of 19 types of mounted tablet beasts. Each mounted tablet beast had a special primordial energy skill. There were 19 types of primordial energy skills that could drop. Each primordial energy skill had its own uses and was deeply loved by students. As there were too many students who wanted to kill the mounted tablet beasts, the school had no choice but to restrict access to Ancient Yang Cave. One needed a pass to enter and exit freely. Li Xian had used his connections to obtain the pass to Ancient Yang Cave and organize the club activity. There were too many mini-dungeons in Dragon Gate Grotto. Although Zhou Wen knew of Ancient Yang Cave, he had never been there in-game. He wasn't interested in Ancient Yang Cave, but he still had to participate in the club activity. Therefore, he went to Ancient Yang Cave with Li Xian and company. The Buddha statues and Buddha shrines in Ancient Yang Cave were dazzling. Just as they entered, they saw a stone monument moving. On careful look, it was a giant turtle carrying a stone monument crawling on the ground. I'll repeat myself. When killing the mounted tablet beasts, do not touch the Buddha statues or Buddha shrines. Otherwise, no one can save you if anything happens, Li Xian exhorted again. Brother Li, don't worry. We know the rules. We guarantee that we won't break them, Tian Xiangdong said as he patted his chest. That's good. Ancient Yang Cave isn't dangerous anyway. Those mounted tablet beasts crawl very slowly. As long as you don't court death, it shouldn't be able to harm you. Everyone, split up and search for the mounted tablet beasts. Li Xian took the lead and charged towards the mounted tablet beast in his line of sight. Gu Jian and Feng Ruoyi also went in different directions to search for the mounted tablet beast hidden in Ancient Yang Cave. However, Zhou Wen stood in his spot without moving. He watched Li Xian attack the mounted tablet beast while reading the inscriptions on the mounted tablet beast's back. The words on the tablet were written in a lively manner, with a strange and elegant style. The strokes were plentiful, square, and without losing their spirituality. It had an elegant beauty. Zhou Wen didn't know calligraphy, but when he saw the words on the tablet, he thought of the mysterious stone tablets he had seen before. The stone tablet on the mounted tablet beast's back couldn't compare to the mysterious stone tablet Zhou Wen had seen before, nor did it have any mysterious powers lingering around it. It was likely ordinary. However, after flipping through the information regarding Ancient Yang Cave, Zhou Wen's heart stirred. The species of mounted tablet beast happened to correspond to the Dragon Gate's 19 pieces. Does that mean that the last piece of the Dragon Gate's 20 pieces also has a corresponding dimensional creature and primordial energy skill? But why haven't I heard of any other mounted tablet beasts outside Ancient Yang Cave? Zhou Wen checked the information regarding the Dragon Gate's 20 pieces and discovered that 19 pieces were in Ancient Yang Cave. Only the first piece was in Xixiang Grotto outside Old Dragon Cave. Upon seeing this, Zhou Wen couldn't help but recall something. Previously, Wang Lu had mentioned that there was a dragon's roar near Old Dragon Cave. She also mentioned that a treasure glow would appear at night. It seemed to be near Xixiang Grotto. Chapter 144. Wei Ge was extremely unwilling to see Hardedef again, but he had no choice but to bring Hardedef to experience Sunset College's learning and life. In the past, without Hardedef, Wei Ge was the center of attention wherever he went. He was the target of the girls' affectionate gazes, but with Hardedef by his side, Wei Ge felt that his brilliance was completely overshadowed. Just like now, they were only touring the school, but there was already a large group of girls following them. However, The girls who used to only have eyes for Wei Ge were now staring at Hardedef without blinking. Their eyes were about to turn into the shape of a heart. Is this Sunset College's rising sun monument? Hardedef stood in front of a white marble monument and stared at the rows of names on it. That's right. This is the Rising Sun Monument. Every year, the top 10 of the comprehensive test will leave their names on this monument to motivate future generations. If they make it onto the rankings multiple times, there will be a star-shaped mark behind their names. The number of star-shaped marks indicates how many times the student has been on the Rising Sun Monument in school, Wei Ge said smugly. He had been on the rankings since he was in his second year. Including this year, he had already been on the rankings twice. Next year, he would still be on the rankings. It was rare for him to be on the rankings for 3 consecutive years in Sunset College. This was an achievement that he could be proud of. President Wei's cultivation level is superb, and your sword techniques are unparalleled. I believe you will definitely be on the rankings? Hardedef asked with a smile. I was lucky to be on the rankings twice, Wei Ge said as he pointed at his name on the stone monument. Hui Haifeng, Feng Xiuyan, and Wang Lu are all talented. They should be on the rankings, right? Hardedef asked again. All of them. They were in the top 10 of the comprehensive test this year. Wei Ge pointed them out one by one, but he already felt that something was amiss. How strange. Hardedef looked at the Rising Sun Monument and suddenly exclaimed in surprise. Wei Ge had already thought of something. He glanced at Hardedef, but didn't say a word, as though he hadn't heard Hardedef's surprise. Wei Ge didn't answer, but one of the girls beside him asked, Hardedef, what's so strange? Wei Ge wished he could go up and slap the girl. He thought to himself that this woman was really stupid. Hardedef pointed at a name on the monument and said, President Wei, you and the others are all geniuses. You advanced to the legendary stage before the age of 20. It's not strange for you to be on the rankings. On this entire Rising Sun Monument, apart from one person, everyone else is at the legendary stage. Why is this person's name on the Rising Sun Monument when he's only at the mortal stage? The person you're talking about is Zhou, right? Although Zhou is only at the mortal stage, his strength is indeed astonishing. He obtained 3 perfect scores and a 9 in the comprehensive test. He's indeed a genius. It's not surprising that he's on the rankings, the girl from before added. The corners of Hardedef's mouth curled up slightly as he looked at Zhou Wen's name on the monument and said, I never expected there to be such a genius in this world. To be able to enter the top 10 of Sunset College's comprehensive test with a mortal stage body, it's truly rare to see one in 100 years. It's fine if I didn't come, but since I'm here at Sunset College, I have to meet him no matter what. Wei Ji's expression changed slightly before he immediately returned to normal. He looked at Hardedef and said, Zhou Wen is indeed a genius, but he's still at the mortal stage. I'm afraid it's not appropriate for you to spar with him, right? Although Wei Ge didn't have a good impression of Zhou Wen, as the student president of Sunset College, he still stood on the side of protecting the school. Hardedef said indifferently, President Wei, that's not right. There are many experts in Sunset College's comprehensive test. Not to mention the top 10, even the top 20 to 30 are probably experts at the legendary stage. To be able to defeat so many legendary experts at the mortal stage and be ranked in the top 10 with you, President Wei, Feng Xiuyan, and company, it's strange that you say he doesn't have the ability to fight a legendary. Could it be that Zhou Wen's results weren't obtained with his own strength? If that's the case, I suggest that we quickly wipe his name off the Rising Sun Monument to prevent it from tarnishing Sunset College's reputation. Outsiders who don't know might think that Sunset College students only know how to cheat. Wei Ji's expression changed several times when he heard that. He could only answer firmly, Zhou Wen's results are naturally real. Sunset College students never cheat. In that case, I really want to see this genius who can enter the top 10 of the comprehensive test at the mortal stage. Hardedef said with a smile. Zhou Wen was gaming on his bed when he suddenly heard his phone ring. When he saw that it was a call from Li Xian, he chose to answer it. Old Zhou, something bad has happened. That bastard Hardedef is too sinister. Li Xian's angry voice sounded. Don't worry. What happened? Tell me slowly. Zhou wasn't flustered at all. That bastard is in front of the rising sun monument. Li Xian recounted the situation and continued anxiously. This matter has blown out of proportion. The school is in a difficult spot. I'm afraid this matter won't be easy to handle. Got it. When Zhou heard the doorbell ring, he said to Li Xian, "Someone is pressing the doorbell. It might be Ms. Wang Fei. I'll talk to you later." "What do you plan on doing?" Li Xian asked again. "What else can I do when someone's already stepping on my face?" Zhou hung up after saying that. When he opened the door, it was indeed Wang Fei. Wang Fei looked at Zhou and sighed softly. Zhou, she had only said 2 words when Zhou interrupted her. "Ms. Wang, I can fight. Take me there." Wang Fei was taken aback. Seeing Zhou's calm expression, as though he had already made up his mind, she still asked, "Have you decided?" "Yes. Don't worry. Even if I can't win, I definitely won't embarrass the school," Zhou said. "Just do your best." Wang Fei didn't believe that Zhou could defeat Hardadef. If possible, she would rather Zhou not fight. However, this matter had blown out of proportion. It might even affect Sunset College's reputation. Regardless of whether he won or lost, Zhou needed to fight Hardadef. The school didn't dare hope that Zhou could defeat Hardadef. They only hoped that he wouldn't lose too miserably, allowing the school to have a chance to operate. Wang Fei herself didn't wish for Zhou to fight. She was afraid that the positive attitude Zhou had just established would crumble again. Hardadef's family background and background were better than in Jing's. His achievements weren't much worse than in Jing's, and he might even be stronger. Zhou hadn't even been able to withstand a single strike from a Jing. The outcome against Hardadef wasn't optimistic either. Chapter 145. Since you are doubting the standards of our Sunset College students, I'll fight you. In front of the rising sun monument, a cold voice sounded. Everyone turned their heads and saw an expressionless Jing walk in front of Hardadef. Hardadef smiled and said, "Missin, I believe you have misunderstood. I'm not doubting Sunset College's teaching ability or the strength of its students. I have great respect for truly capable students like President Wei, Hui Haifeng, Feng Qiuyan, Wang Lu, and you, Missin. As for this Zhou, I originally respected him very much. I want to get to know this rare genius, but your attitude now leaves me somewhat puzzled. This matter originally had nothing to do with me, but since I've come to Sunset College as an exchange student, I'll be a part of Sunset College during this period of time. I don't wish for the college's reputation to be sullied. You don't dare fight me?" And Jing stared at Hardadef. Hardadef continued smiling and said, "Missin, are you still defending Zhou or Sunset College? Could it be that this Zhou really doesn't have the strength to begin with? Instead, he cheated to obtain a spot that should have belonged to another student?" Hardadef's doubts made the surrounding Sunset College students unable to help but whisper. Clearly, everyone was suspicious. Back when Zhou won the spot, there were already people who suspected it. However, there was no evidence back then, so no one mentioned it. Now that Hardadef had raised it, the previous suspicions were magnified. There's absolutely no such thing. Our Sunset College absolutely doesn't allow students to cheat. Once discovered, we'll immediately expel them. The college official hurriedly explained, but no matter how righteous he was, he couldn't dispel the students' suspicions. Unless Zhou comes out to fight me and prove to everyone that he's not inferior to the other students in the top 10, it'll be very difficult to convince others, Hardadef said with a smile. "How do you want to prove it? Defeat you?" Just as Jing was about to say something, she suddenly heard a voice. Everyone turned their heads and saw Zhou walking over and standing in front of the rising sun monument. "Getting you to defeat me is too harsh on you. Punches, weapons, strength, speed, and endurance. Even if it's a battle with a companion beast, you can choose any one of them. As long as you can last 10 minutes without being defeated, it'll be your win." Hardadef was forcing Zhou, leaving him with no way out. That bastard John is so sinister. Li Xian, who was below, cursed softly. Now, he finally understood why Hardadef hadn't directly challenged Zhou when he first came to school. If Zhou had fought Hardadef as one of the students who had interacted with him in the beginning, even if Zhou wasn't his match, he could just admit defeat. But at this point, if Zhou couldn't last 10 minutes, not only would he lose face, but even Sunset College's reputation would be tarnished. Therefore, Zhou had to last 10 minutes no matter what. And during these 10 minutes, John could do whatever he wanted. John definitely wouldn't dare kill Zhou in Sunset College, but he could teach him an unforgettable lesson. Zhou, you don't need to prove anything to others. And Jing naturally saw through Hardadef's intentions and said to him, since you are so lacking in confidence, let's do it this way. I won't attack. As long as you can last 10 minutes in front of one of my companion beasts without being defeated, you will win. Don't tell me the top 10 of Sunset College's comprehensive test can't even do such a simple thing? Hardadef said mockingly. 10 minutes. Zhou asked Hardadef. That's right. Just 10 minutes. Seeing that Zhou was about to agree, Hardadef couldn't help but smile. 10 minutes is too long. Zhou shook his head. Oh, then how long do you think you can last? Hardadef looked at Zhou with interest. It was somewhat unexpected that Zhou would show such weakness in front of everyone. 1 minute. Zhou thought seriously for a moment before giving a number. The moment Zhou said that, the surrounding Sunset College students felt embarrassed. After all, Zhou was in the top 10 of the comprehensive test, but he actually admitted that he could only last a minute in front of Hardadef's companion beast. This was a humiliation for Sunset College. 1 minute is indeed a little short, but since you've asked, let's do it, Hardadef said with a faint smile. Hardadef thought to himself, even if it's only a minute, I can still cripple you. I'll definitely settle the score with you for treating my sister like that. There was a special battleground in the college. Under the guidance of the college staff, the two of them arrived at the venue. This matter had long spread throughout Sunset College. Many students came to watch, but very few tutors came. Apart from Wang Fei and a few other tutors and staff who maintained order, there were basically no college leaders. The college's upper echelons had roughly guessed how Zhou had come to be in the top 10. It was only because of the infamy that they didn't hold it against Zhou. From their point of view, Zhou was bound to lose if he fought Hardadef. No one wanted to embarrass themselves here. Will Zhou be all right? Feng Ruoshi asked worriedly. If it's a minute, old Zhou will definitely be fine, but Li Xian said. But what? Feng Ruoshi pressed. However, I have a nagging feeling that things aren't that simple. Old Zhou looks gentle and doesn't seem to be vying for anything, but deep down, he's a very proud fellow. He shouldn't. Li Xian didn't continue. Seeing Feng Chuyin sitting by the side, Li Xian asked, Little Feng, you've fought Hardadef before. What do you think? Hardadef is very strong. It's very difficult to last a minute, Feng Chuyin said. Li Xian, Feng Ruoshi, and Tian Xiangdong were alarmed. Tian Xiangdong said in disbelief, Is that Hardadef really that strong? Zhou can't even last a minute? Feng Chen said indifferently, It's indeed very difficult to defeat Hardadef in a minute, but Coach might have his own ideas. Tian Xiangdong and Li Xian's mouths seemed to be stuffed with an egg. They couldn't close it no matter how hard they tried as they looked at Feng Chuyin as though he was an alien. Did I hear wrongly? Are you saying that Zhou wants to defeat Hardadef in a minute? Is that what Zhou meant by a minute? Tian Xiangdong felt a little confused. However, Li Xian slapped his thigh. I knew it. With old Zhou's character, how can he be so cowardly? That's right. That's definitely the case. As they spoke, Hardadef had already summoned his companion beast. When the surrounding students saw the companion beast, many of them shouted its name. Chapter 146. Night of the Round Table. Li Xian exclaimed softly when he saw the companion beast John had summoned. Among the many-dimensional zones in the West District, the Night King's court was undoubtedly one of the most famous. There was only one-dimensional creature in the Night King's court, the legendary Knight of the Round Table. Knights of the Round Table were rare, and each of them had different abilities. To obtain a Knight of the Round Table companion beast was a dreamlike gift for legendary cultivators in the West District. In the West District, Knight of the Round Table companion beasts were synonymous with invincibility at the legendary stage. That wasn't only because of their strength, but also because of another important reason. Apart from their own abilities, Knights of the Round Table were also one of the few companion beasts that could be augmented by their owner's strength. The stronger the person with a Knight of the Round Table was, the more augmented the Knight of the Round Table would be. This made him an invincible existence at the legendary stage. There was a very famous expert in the West District. When he was young, he was invincible in pet battles in the West District with the help of the White Horse Knight of the Round Table. John's Knight of the Round Table rode a black horse and held a steel spear in his hand. He looked abnormally majestic, and the Knight of the Round Table badge he wore represented his identity. That's the Holy Spear Knight of the Round Table. Legend has it that he corresponds to the historical Knight of the Round Table, Lamorak, one of the three most powerful Knights of the Round Table. His spear arts are almost invincible. He once defeated 30 knights alone. He's an extremely powerful legendary companion beast. Coupled with John's augmentation of the Knight of the Round Table, it's not an exaggeration to say that he's one of the strongest companion beasts at the legendary stage. Wang Lu could tell the origins of the Knight of the Round Table. Will Zhou be fine? Li Xian began to worry. It didn't seem easy to defeat such a powerful companion beast in a minute. Wang Fei was somewhat surprised when she saw the Holy Spear Knight. There were very few dimensional creatures in the Night King's court, so the companion beasts produced were even more limited. Every Knight of the Round Table had a very famous owner, so she never expected John to have one. However, Knights of the Round Table were typically unique. She had never heard of two Knight of the Round Table companion beasts appearing. According to what Wang Fei knew, the Holy Spear Knight originally belonged to an epic expert of the West District. Now, it had appeared on John. Although Sunset College also had dimensional zones that produced Knight-type companion beasts, they were naturally inferior to the world-famous Knights of the Round Table companion beasts. Hardadef looked at Zhou Wan and said, "This is my companion beast, Holy Spear Knight. He only has one active primordial energy skill, Holy Spear Knight, but the strength of this spear is almost invincible at the same level. However, since you're one of the top 10 students of Sunset College, it shouldn't be difficult for you to last a minute under his gun, right? Are you ready?" Hardadef narrowed his eyes and asked Zhou. "I'll be done soon." Zhou originally planned on using the banana fan to deal a blow to John's companion beast, but after seeing the Holy Spear Knight, he dismissed the thought. As he spoke, Zhou extended his hand and beckoned. A scarlet beam of light flew out and condensed in front of him, transforming into a majestic knight with a red horse and red armor that resembled a devil. Demonized general. That's not right. It's not an ordinary demonized general. It's a word engraved demonized general. Why are the words engraved on his helmet a little strange? The students of Sunset College immediately recognized the mutated demonized general, and there was another commotion. Even Wang Fei was somewhat surprised. Zhou actually obtained a word-engraved, demonized general companion beast. His luck is way too good. How many days has it been since he obtained the Tiger Cage Pass? To think that a mutated, demonized general companion egg dropped. Furthermore, that word-engraved, demonized general is a little strange. Why isn't the helmet engraved with the word saber, cloth, and fist, but the word demonized? Holy sh*t, old Zhou not bad. He actually obtained a mutated, demonized general companion egg without a sound. However, can a mutated, demonized general defeat a Holy Spear Knight? Li Xian said, "I don't know. In theory, the Holy Spear Knight should be stronger. After all, he can receive the augmentation of his master's strength. The mutated, demonized general doesn't have such an ability, so it can only rely on itself," Wang Lu said after some thought. "I'm ready now," Zhou said. "Knight against knight? How interesting. I'll show you what a true knight is." John proudly raised his finger and gently swiped it down. "Time begin." As though he had received the Emperor's orders, the Holy Spear Knight raised his spear and charged at Zhou Wan and the mutated demonized general. As the charging speed increased, the Holy Spear Knight emitted a terrifying spear beam. The spear beam pierced through the air, forming a visible air current that charged at the mutated demonized general like a hurricane that emitted a terrifying holy glow. Without Zhou Wan doing anything, the mutated demonized general charged forward at the same time. Its red horse, red armor, and red spear were like a ball of crimson flames. The white and red riders charged forward at the same time, like two hurricanes rushing across the battlefield, instantly colliding. Bam! The crimson spear flames collided with the holy spear beam as a terrifying force tore through the air, producing an ear-piercing explosion. This strike resulted in a draw. John couldn't help but frown slightly, as though he couldn't accept this outcome. The Holy Spear Knight wasn't able to gain the upper hand despite being augmented by his strength. It left him somewhat surprised by the mutated, demonized general strength. The spectating students were also excited. The mutated, demonized general was actually able to fight the famous knights of the Round Table in the Federation. It made them yearn for it. They wished they could head to Tiger Cage Pass to drop a mutated, demonized general companion egg. However, just as everyone thought that the strike was over, the mutated, demonized general clenched its other hand into a fist and punched at the Holy Spear Knight. Bam! Under everyone's horrified gazes, the Holy Spear Knight's body was sent flying from his horse's back. He flew more than 10 meters before crashing to the ground. The knight's spear in his hand fell into the distance as the heavy armor on his chest cracked. His helmet rolled to the side. Before the Holy Spear Knight could stand up again, the devil-like, mutated, demonized general on the horse's back waved its palm again. A blood-like saber beam slashed through the air and beheaded the Holy Spear Knight. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Everyone stared blankly at the scene. Even John himself didn't react. His Holy Spear Knight had been killed just like that. It was all in a single exchange. 1 minute. From the looks of it, it's still too long. Zhou Wan said expressionlessly as he looked at the Holy Spear Knight's corpse on the ground. Chapter 147. What's that? Am I seeing things? That mutated, demonized general seems to have used both fist and saber primordial energy skills at the same time, right? Is there such a demonized general? A Sunset College student stared blankly. Huh, what Knight of the Round Table? He's far inferior to our demonized general. 10 minutes is indeed too long. 1 minute is too long. Zhou Wan was right. Ha! I knew it. How can anyone in our Sunset College cheat? Zhou Wan's results are definitely real. Just with this companion beast, he has the right to be in the top 10. Isn't Zhou Wan at the mortal stage? Can he use a legendary companion beast at the mortal stage? The students broke into a flurry of discussion. Wang Fei wore an odd expression as well. What's up with that demonized general? It is both fist and saber skills. Is this another mutation of the mutated demonized general? Old Zhou, not bad. The mutated demonized general is really powerful, Li Xian said with a chuckle. Hardedef converged his gaze as he stared at Zhou Wan and slowly said, Sunset College indeed lives up to its reputation. I underestimated you. I lost just now. You have the right to fight me. Do you dare to fight me seriously? TCH, I thought a saint from the West District was impressive, but it turns out he's just a sore loser, Li Xian said disdainfully with a twitch of his lips. Hardedef, you have already lost, and Jing said coldly. However, Hardedef remained unmoved as he continued staring at Zhou Wan. Are you afraid of accepting a real challenge? You've already lost. I have no interest in a loser, Zhou Wan said calmly before turning to leave. Hardedef's expression turned ugly as he clenched his fists. He stared intently at Zhou Wan's back and said, Do you dare to fight me with the Cape family's glory and the Rebellious Knight companion egg on the line? Those who had heard of the name Rebellious Knight were alarmed. Even Zhou Wan stopped in his tracks and turned to look at Hardedef. The Rebellious Knight you mentioned is the strongest knight of the Round Table. Zhou Wan asked. That's right. The Rebellious Knight corresponds to the strongest knight of the Round Table, Lancelot. If you can defeat me, you can obtain him. Hardadef took out a companion egg. The egg shone with a dazzling holy light. There were marks of a sword and a shield on its flawless shell. Joan stared at the companion egg and was truly tempted. Lancelot was known as the strongest knight of the Round Table, but it was also his existence that led to the division of the Knights of the Round Table and the end of King Arthur's legend. He was similar to Lu Bu, a fierce general in the history of the Eastern District. Both of them were killed by a woman, ending a great legend. Disregarding everything else, Lancelot was indeed the invincible knight of the Round Table of that era. If the disloyal knight was really Lancelot, then the disloyal knight should be stronger than the holy lancers that John used. Joan didn't have much doubts about the authenticity of the rebellious knight companion egg. The Cape family was one of the 6 hero families. If John dared to say that he was betting on the Cape family's glory, there was probably no need for him to use a fake legendary companion egg to ruin the Cape family's reputation. Since you used the disloyal knight as a wager, I can give you a chance. However, there needs to be a clear winner. You can't expect me to kill you here, right? Joan said very seriously. When others heard this, they felt that Joan was looking down on John. It was as though he was saying that John would definitely lose and that he would go back on his word if he lost. The corners of John's eyes twitched a few times, but he forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart. He had previously underestimated Joan, so he had paid the price. Now, he had to fight Joan again. He believed that with his strength, defeating Joan would be a piece of cake. A real battle wasn't as simple as relying on a powerful companion beast. John was confident that he could suppress Joan and his companion beasts. Taking a deep breath, he tried his best to calm himself down and maintain his usual demeanor. John took out a pen and drew a circle on his chest. As long as you can touch this area, it's your win, John said as he pointed at the circle on his chest. All right, Joan nodded, but he had no intention of drawing a circle on his chest. It was as though he was saying that he wouldn't lose. When John saw Joan's actions, he was even more infuriated. However, this was exactly what he wanted. He had no intention of letting Joan lose so easily. Not only did he want to defeat Joan, but he also wanted him to pay the price for Liz's matter. When Wang Fei heard that Joan had agreed to fight John again, she couldn't help but frown. Joan had used a powerful companion beast to defeat John by surprise. He should have quit while he was ahead, but now he had been tempted by a companion egg and agreed to fight John again. This was too irrational. Feng Xiuyan, what do you think Joan's chances of winning are? Li Xian asked Feng Xiuyan. Although he was the most familiar with Joan, he didn't know much about John. Furthermore, he was biased, so he couldn't make an accurate judgment. Feng Xiuyan pondered for a moment and said, Coach is indeed very strong. If they are both at the legendary stage, I think Coach will definitely win. However, if Coach hasn't advanced to the legendary stage, it's hard to say. After all, there's a difference of 1 level. As he spoke, John had already walked towards Joan. At the same time, a golden beam of light condensed on his body, transforming into a golden armor that enveloped his entire body. John clenched his right hand slightly as a gorgeous sword embedded with gems appeared in his hand. John was tall and handsome. With the golden armor and sword complementing him, he looked mighty and domineering, like a legendary hero knight who saved the world. With John's footsteps, his entire body and sword suffused a strange glow. The glow seemed to condense into something corporeal, something that could be seen with the naked eye. Is it the famous battle energy, primordial energy art in the West District? Li Xian and company widened their eyes as they looked at John. They had only seen the existence of battle energy in videos and teaching materials. This was the first time they had seen it with their own eyes. Battle energy, primordial energy arts are more common in the West District. They're somewhat different from the primordial energy arts in the East District. They aren't as converged as the primordial energy arts here. Typical battle energy, primordial energy arts are more domineering. Once they advance to the legendary stage, they can have the ability to release battle energy. The destructive power is also stronger than most primordial energy arts in the East District, Wang Lu said. At that moment, John, who was less than 10 meters away from Zhou Wen, suddenly accelerated. As he ran, he leaped up and slashed down at Zhou Wen with both hands. All his battle energy condensed on his sword, transforming into a several-meter-long sword beam that instantly slashed at Zhou Wen's head. Chapter 148. The strike was just too fast and ferocious. A sword beam that was several meters long was relatively rare among legendaries in the East District. Although the East District also had many primordial energy arts and primordial energy skills that released their strength, they were typically more restrained. They wouldn't have such exaggerated effects. However, to be able to slash out a sword beam that was several meters long meant that John's strength was indeed extraordinary. Typically, legendaries in the West District who cultivated battle aura or similar primordial energy skills could at most slash out a sword beam that was about a meter long. A sword beam that was several meters long was truly terrifying. This John really didn't show his true strength when he sparred with us. This strike is much stronger than what he showed previously, Feng Shuyan said. Old Zhou will be fine, right? Li Xian was somewhat alarmed when he saw the might of the strike. It wasn't only Li Xian. Many of the spectating students were worried for Zhou Wen when they saw such an exaggerated strike. They were afraid that Zhou Wen would be split into two. The two tutors in charge of watching the area were already prepared to save him at any time. Zhou Wen watched the strike slash down without any intention of fighting it. With a casual wave of his hand, a golden beam of light flashed as a ferocious-looking golden warrior appeared in front of Zhou Wen. The golden warrior's majestic body completely covered Zhou Wen's figure. It raised its palm and used its palm to meet John's terrifying battle aura sword beam. Clang! An earth-shattering sound of metal clashing resounded as the golden aura shattered like glass in the palm of the three-eyed warrior. The visual impact caused many students to stretch their necks to take a look. John's sword cleaved at the three-eyed golden warrior's palm, but it was still blocked by the huge hand, unable to advance any further. Holy *T, three-eyed golden warrior. That fellow actually dropped another three-eyed golden warrior. Li Xian felt like he was going crazy. It hadn't been long since Zhou Wen had a three-eyed golden warrior drop. Back when Zhou Wen gave it to Li Xian, he had said that he could drop another one himself if he needed it. Back then, Li Xian scoffed at this. Three-eyed golden warriors were so rare that one might not even encounter one in a few months. Even if one did, the chances of a companion egg dropping were pitifully low. However, how long had it been? Zhou Wen had actually produced another three-eyed golden warrior. It made Li Xian suspect if Zhou Wen was the reincarnation of a man who had been a virgin for 10 lifetimes. Otherwise, how could he have such good luck? The heavens must be compensating him for the suffering he had suffered in his previous life. Dang! 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 The sword in Hardadef's hand slashed out violently, but all of them were blocked by the three-eyed golden warrior. Even if he struck the three-eyed golden warrior, all he could do was leave a shallow mark. The three-eyed golden warrior's golden body and invulnerable golden technique made its body's defense stand at the pinnacle of the legendary stage. Its only weakness was its third eye. Unless it was struck, even Zhou Wen would find it difficult to injure it. Three-eyed golden warrior, mutated demonized general. This fellow, Zhou Wen, is just too enviable. These are all companion beasts that can't be bought even with money. Ignoring everything else, Zhou Wen's companion beasts are really powerful. However, he should have advanced to the legendary stage. Otherwise, how could he have hatched such a powerful legendary companion beast? The heavens are unfair. Just give me either the three-eyed golden warrior or the mutated demonized general. That punk, Hardadef, is depressed. After slashing so many times, he can't even injure the three-eyed golden warrior. What can he use to fight Zhou Wen? The students discussed animatedly. Most of them were envious that Zhou Wen had two rare legendary companion beasts. Hardedef originally believed that with his powerful strength, it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill the companion beast in front of him. He wanted to kill Zhou Wen's beloved companion beast, just like how Zhou Wen had killed the Holy Spear Knight. He wanted Zhou Wen to experience the feeling of losing a companion beast before dealing with him. But soon, Hardedef's expression turned extremely ugly. This was because he realized that even if he used all his strength, he couldn't injure the companion beast in front of him. It was basically a meat shield-type companion beast with powerful defense. It was meaningless for him to continue fighting. It would only be a waste of his primordial energy. By the time he realized this, it was already too late. The primordial energy of a legendary stage was limited, and he had already expended more than half of it. Wang Fei looked at the three-eyed golden warrior in front of Zhou Wen in a daze. Zhou Wen had actually managed to obtain two companion beasts that couldn't be bought with money in such a short period of time. With her relationship with Ouyang Lan, she naturally knew that Zhou Wen hadn't accepted the family's help. He had definitely obtained such a companion beast himself. This fellow actually managed to kill the mutated demonized general and the three-eyed golden warrior. He shouldn't be at the mortal stage, right? Wang Fei looked at Zhou Wen and suddenly felt a little angry. She had worked so hard to help Zhou Wen grow, but who knew that he had already advanced to the legendary stage? To think that she had been worried for him, afraid that he would lose terribly. This kid needs to be taught a lesson. In the future, the intensity of his training should continue to be increased. Wang Fei thought viciously in her heart. While feeling indignant, Wang Fei also felt excited. Before Zhou Wen entered Sunset College, he was definitely at the mortal stage. In such a short period of time, he had already advanced to the legendary stage. Furthermore, he could kill such powerful legendary creatures in places like Tiger Cagehead and Myriad Buddha Cave. With such strength, he was worthy of being called a genius. If he was properly trained in the future, he might really be able to produce a great cultivator. Sislan sure has sharp eyes. Zhou Wen's talent is indeed not bad, and his luck isn't bad either. If he can obtain a special physique in the Holy Land, he might really have a chance of stepping into the mythical stage in the future. When Wang Fei thought of the possibility of nurturing a mythical expert in the future, she felt her heart race. Her cheeks flushed red from the increased blood circulation. Hardedef had already stopped attacking. He wanted to retreat to recover his expended primordial energy before circling around the three-eyed golden warrior to attack Zhou Wen. Hardedef knew very well that such a super meat shield-type companion beast movement speed wasn't fast. With his speed and movement techniques, it wasn't difficult for him to circle around the three-eyed golden warrior. If he hadn't wanted to kill Zhou Wen's companion beast, he wouldn't have been in such a passive state. However, the moment he retreated, Zhou Wen, who had been standing behind the three-eyed golden warrior, suddenly moved. Like a ghost, he chased up to the retreating Hardedef and struck his chest with his palm. Hardedef was alarmed and infuriated. Zhou Wen's timing was perfect. It happened to be the moment he retracted his strength and retreated. His strength was retreating, and his center of gravity was shifting backward. He couldn't even counterattack. Chapter 149. The light patterns on Hardedef's chest rose up, transforming into a warrior with a shield tower in front of him. Zhou Wen's palm struck the tower shield, but it only forced the warrior to take half a step back. Hardedef's expression was cold as primordial energy fluctuations rose from his body. His hair flew up as a crown-shaped mark of light appeared on his forehead. Zhou Wen was no stranger to this mark. It belonged to one of the 6 heroes, the Holy Emperor's hero mark. It also represented the Holy Emperor's special physique, the Holy Emperor body. Hardedef's present state was a sign of the Holy Emperor body being stimulated. Therefore, there was no need to guess what Hardedef was going to do next. No good. Hardedef is really using holy light judgment in such a sparring session. And Jing's expression changed drastically. She wanted to save him, but it was too late. Others didn't know how terrifying holy light judgment was, but Jing had seen it in the family's database. Although Hardadef was definitely not at the level of the Holy Emperor, a primordial energy skill like holy light judgment was extremely terrifying. It was difficult for opponents of the same level to withstand it. Indeed, Hardadef interlocked his fingers and raised his arms at the same time, making a slashing gesture at Joan. With this action, his tightly clasped hands emitted a dazzling light that resembled the sun, transforming into a gigantic blade of light that slashed down. The blade of light was more than 20 meters long, and its speed was unbelievably fast. It was like a blade of light formed from lightning that slashed down from the sky, instantly arriving in front of Joan. At that moment, Hardadef, who was emitting holy light, was like a representative of God in the mortal world, using the power of God to judge sinners. No good. The two tutors who were watching the battle flashed out at the same time, hoping to save Zhou when before holy light judgment landed on him. The spectating students stood up. This strike was just too terrifying. It had already exceeded the typical legendary stage. If Zhou couldn't withstand it, he would probably be killed by this strike. Zhou's gaze turned cold, but he had no intention of dodging. Instead of retreating, he advanced and charged forward. At the same time, he extended his hand and beckoned. A palm-sized fan that resembled emerald appeared in his hand as he fanned it at Hardadef, who seemed to be descending with divine punishment. Bang! Under everyone's shocked and incredulous gazes, the terrifying light blade formed by the judgment of holy light shattered like glass shattered by a hurricane. John's body, which shone like a god, was also sent flying by the fan. He crashed heavily into the tempered glass at the side of the arena, shattering it. For a moment, the entire venue was silent. Everyone's eyes widened as they stared blankly at John, who was struggling to get up amidst the glass shards. But even after struggling a few times, he was unable to get up. His body was still curled up and trembling, like a creature about to freeze to death in an ice house. Bang! Zhou walked in front of John and stepped on his chest. He looked down at him and said coldly, "Do you want to do it again? I can give you another chance." John was embarrassed and furious. He was known as a saint in the West District and was known to be invincible among his peers. He had never tasted defeat in Covenant College, so he had never suffered such humiliation. In his anger, anxiety, and embarrassment, coupled with his injuries from the Grandine wind, he spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. The two tutors who had rushed in to save Zhou were stunned. They were momentarily stunned. This was completely different from when they had rushed in, leaving them at a loss as to what to do. "Tutors, I'll leave the rest to you." Zhou didn't care if John was dead or alive. He took out the Knight of the Round Table companion egg from his backpack and bowed slightly at the two tutors. "All right." Only then did a tutor react and hurriedly go forward to check on John's injuries. After all, John was a descendant of the Cape family and had inherited a hero's physique. If he died in Sunset College, it would be a huge problem. However, Zhou didn't care. After taking the companion egg, he swaggered off. "What was that just now? Holy **T, I didn't see what happened. How did John, who looked like a god that had descended to the mortal world, get sent flying?" "I saw it." Zhou held a small green fan in his hand and fanned it at John, sending him flying along with his sword beam. "That John looks quite intimidating, but why is he so weak? He can't even withstand a single strike." Zhou is really terrifyingly strong. Although he's using the power of companion beasts are a part of his strength. This Zhou probably has an extraordinary background. Even if a student from a typical family advances to the legendary stage, it's impossible for them to have so many powerful companion beasts. After Zhou left, the students reacted and discussed excitedly. The focus of the discussion was on Zhou's companion beasts. Most of the discussion was about what companion beast the green cattail leaf fan had transformed from. "Old Zhou, you really made an appearance this time. You sent St. John flying with a fan. Don't you feel great? What companion beast is that fan of yours?" "It's really powerful," Li Xian said excitedly as he and Zhou walked to their dorms. It's because he's too weak. Zhou Wen didn't answer Li Xian's question. It wasn't easy to explain Banana Fairy's origins, and Zhou Wen didn't wish to waste his brain to fabricate a story, much less deceive his friend. Li Xian didn't ask further as the two returned to their dorms. John's abject defeat at Sunset College didn't only cause a stir in Sunset College, but even Covenant College was greatly shaken. John, who was the successor of a hero and had the title of a saint, had almost never been defeated. Yet, he had been thrashed in Sunset College. Furthermore, the person who thrashed him wasn't the strongest student in Sunset College, but someone who barely ranked in the top 10. This was clearly unacceptable to them. Instantly, the Covenant College forum exploded. Some people said that John wasn't worthy of the title of saint, nor was he worthy of being the successor of the Holy Emperor body. Others said that John should work harder in his cultivation before defeating Zhou Wen and reclaiming the glory that belonged to him. Zhou Wen didn't know what they were thinking, nor was he in the mood to care. He had just hatched Rebellious Knight and was admiring its stats. Rebellious Knight, legendary life providence. Knight of Fate Strength, 19 Speed, 19 Constitution, 19 No Chi, 19 Talent Skill, Reverse Cross Sword, Shield of Finality, Paladin Summon, Paladin Battle or Companion Form. None A Companion Beast with 4 skills, and all its stats had reached 19 points. It could be said to be an excellent grade legendary companion beast. Its stats were even more explosive than the mutated demonized general. Chapter 150. Wang Fei had been in a bad mood recently. It was as though she hadn't been in a good mood ever since she had Zhou Wen as a student. Zhou Wen's victory over John had made Wang Fei happy for a period of time, but soon she couldn't be happy anymore. Wang Fei originally believed that after Zhou Wen defeated John, he would build up his confidence and stop giving up on himself. He would become a hard-working student. However, the truth was the complete opposite of what she had imagined. Ever since Zhou Wen defeated John, he hadn't gone to dimensional zones. He stayed in his dorm all day. According to Wang Fei's investigations, although she didn't know what he was doing in his dorm, Zhou Wen would lie on the chair and play with his phone every morning while basking in the sun on the balcony. It was obvious that he was gaming. Nice one, Zhou Wen. You're like a donkey. You walk 2 steps after every 2 whips. If you don't, you just roll around there. Do you really think I can't deal with you? The more Wang Fei thought about it, the angrier she became. She had previously believed that Zhou Wen had finally awakened, but to her surprise, he immediately reverted to his original state the moment the crisis was over. It was like pouring cold water on Wang Fei's head. Wang Fei clearly wasn't a person who could muddle along, so she decided to completely rid Zhou Wen of his bad habit of gaming. She wanted him to completely quit his internet addiction. Of course, the reason why Wang Fei was so insistent was because she didn't want Zhou Wen's talent to be wasted. He thinks he's impressive just because he defeated John? He's still far from it. Furthermore, he relied on his companion beast to defeat John, not his own abilities. With this in mind, Wang Fei's eyes suddenly lit up. The corners of her mouth couldn't help but curl up as she revealed a strange smile. She had another idea. It wasn't that Zhou Wen wasn't going to Tiger Cage Pass on purpose, but that he had been too famous recently. When he went out, there would always be classmates he didn't know coming to talk to him. Zhou Wen couldn't ignore them when they greeted him out of goodwill, but with so many classmates, he didn't have the time to focus on gaming. Furthermore, he had already demonstrated his demonized general and 3-eyed golden warrior, so there was no need for him to pretend to head to dimensional zones. He decided to stay in his dorm to game. Zhou Wen originally imagined that he could game in peace, but Wang Fei's new homework mission ruined his plans. Old Zhou, our tutor is treating us ordinary students as special admission students. The homework missions she has assigned us are treatment that only special admission students have in the past, Li Xian complained when he saw the homework missions. What's this restriction city? Zhou Wen asked as he looked at the homework missions information. Their class's new homework mission was to hunt 10 bronze beasts in Restriction City, but Zhou had never heard of a dimensional zone like Restriction City. Li Xian said, Restriction City is one of the dungeons in Luoyang. It's considered one of the few dungeons at the bottom. The Forbidden Zone isn't considered dangerous. There are quite a number of mortal stage dimensional creatures inside. The highest level is a legendary creature. However, there's something very special about Restriction City. There's no way to use companion beasts there. Be it directly summoning or appearing in a living form, it's impossible. In other words, we need to use our own strength to kill 10 legendary creatures? Zhou understood what Li Xian meant. That's right. As this mission has a high requirement on one's own abilities, only special admission students received this mission in the past. I never expected our class to have such a homework mission this year. I'm afraid most students will fail. The students in our class must be wailing now, Li Xian said. Is this bronze beast very difficult to kill? Zhou asked in puzzlement. Although most of the students were still at the mortal stage, the mission was limited to 4 people. With a 4-student strength, killing a legendary creature shouldn't be too difficult unless they encountered something as powerful as a mutated demonized general. Most of the students had completed the mission of killing ordinary demonized generals. It's indeed not easy to kill. According to the information, the main reason is that the various attributes of bronze beasts aren't bad. They don't have any obvious weaknesses. Although they aren't considered strong at the legendary stage, they are very difficult to deal with. Without using companion beasts, it's still fine for those of us who have advanced to the legendary stage. But those at the mortal stage will probably find it difficult to complete, Li Xian said with a smile. Let's go to Restriction City. Zhou suddenly stood up and pulled Li Xian out. Why are you suddenly so enthusiastic? Aren't you gaming anymore? Li Xian was puzzled. Zhou had never been so enthusiastic before. Zhou said, since most students are unable to complete the homework mission, if we can come up with a strategy that allows them to complete the homework mission, do you think they will spend money to buy my strategy? Zhou eyes lit up as he said, Are you short of money? Li Xian was rendered speechless. Yes. Zhou nodded seriously. What do you need money for? How much do you need? Li Xian asked again. I want to invest in the game Huang Ji is making. I've previously communicated with him. I can invest $1 million in the first place. He can first create a simplified version. When I have money in the future, I can continue developing it, Zhou said. Are you crazy? What era is this? You actually want to invest in developing games. Are you developing it for the elderly? Young people these days are investing more and more in dimensional zones. Apart from the elderly who haven't cultivated before, who would still be in the mood to play games? Li Xian said. Me, Zhou said with a smile. I'm depressed. You play games all day, so how can you still be that strong? Li Xian was indeed depressed. On the surface, he seemed to be having fun, but he had been cultivating hard in private. However, compared to Zhou, his progress was clearly much slower. I have to play games to become stronger, Zhou said seriously. Get lost. Don't try to fool me. I won't fall for your trick. Li Xian didn't mention the money again. If Zhou really needed it, he didn't mind helping him. $1 million wasn't a huge sum to him. However, Zhou had actually invested in a game. Li Xian felt that he couldn't be an accomplice. It was best not to fork out the money. Zhou didn't have any hopes of borrowing money from anyone. He planned on earning money himself. Therefore, Zhou and Li Xian went deep underground to Restriction City. Restriction City style was very ancient. Legend had it that Restriction City was the capital of a dynasty in ancient times. It was said to be related to the Eastern Zhou dynasty, but Zhou didn't know if it was true. However, after entering Restriction City, Zhou immediately felt the companion beasts on him seem to vanish. They no longer had any connection with him. However, Banana Fairy and Truth Listener were exceptions. Zhou could still sense their existence and use his will to communicate with them. Mythical pets are indeed extraordinary. Zhou was somewhat delighted. Chapter 151. Restriction City was very unique. There were bronze beasts and birds everywhere in the city. There were rabbits, rats and sparrows, and there were tigers, wolves, and peacocks. There were bronze beasts everywhere. Most of the bronze beasts here were at the mortal stage. As for the homework mission, it was to kill 10 legendary bronze beasts. It looked very simple. However, without the protection of companion beasts, it would be very dangerous to rush into the bronze beast horde. It was fine if ordinary mortal stage students didn't have companion beasts to use, but Li Xian and company couldn't use companion beasts even if they had them. They felt extremely displeased. There are so many bronze beasts. Which one is at the legendary stage? Zhou Wen looked at the many bronze creatures in the city and was momentarily unable to tell them apart. There's only one legendary bronze beast in Restriction City. It's called the Bronze Luck Beast. There's definitely none here. We can only encounter one if we head deeper in. Li Xian paused and pointed at the mortal stage bronze beasts. It's best we ignore those fellows. Let's charge straight in to find the Bronze Luck Beast. Why? Zhou Wen asked in puzzlement. There are too many of these mortal stage bronze beasts. Even if we kill them all now, another batch will quickly surge in from the spatial rift. We won't be able to clear them all. However, their drop rate is very low. No matter how many we kill, they won't drop anything useful. There's no need to waste time on them, Li Xian said as he rushed into Restriction City. Strangely enough, the bronze beasts and birds in Restriction City were originally motionless like statues. However, the moment Li Xian approached them, the bronze beasts nearby came to life and pounced at Li Xian and Zhou Wen ferociously. Zhou Wen and Li Xian tried their best to avoid their attacks. Once they rushed out of certain range, the bronze beasts stopped pursuing them. Instead, they automatically returned to their original spots, squatting or standing as though they had become statues again. When they reached a crossroads in the city, Li Xian pointed at a bronze behemoth statue and said, "That's the Bronze Luck Beast." Zhou Wen took a careful look and saw that the statue looked like a tiger or a lion. It had scales on its body and a tail like a snake's. There was a pair of horns on its head. It looked very strange. Roar! The two of them were about 50 meters away from the Bronze Luck Beast when it suddenly came to life. With a roar, it jumped down from the bronze platform and charged at Zhou Wen and Li Xian like a green beam. The two of them hurriedly dodged, causing the Bronze Luck Beast to miss. Its claws left a few deep marks on the ground, as though someone had cleaved it with a sharp axe. This is what you meant by ordinary. Just from its speed and strength, Zhou Wen knew that this fellow was definitely extraordinary. It was definitely top-notch among legendaries. Without being able to use companion beasts, Zhou Wen's strength and speed were probably inferior to it. Dang! Li Xian punched the Bronze Luck Beast, but his fist turned numb from the impact. He failed to injure the Bronze Luck Beast at all. Damn, how is that possible? The information clearly states that the Bronze Luck Beast's attributes are ordinary. It's about the same as an ordinary golden warrior. It's just a little harder to kill. Li Xian was also very depressed. While the two of them were dealing with the Bronze Luck Beast, the nearby ordinary bronze beasts also pounced forward, causing them some trouble. Zhou Wen used Ashen Palm, but it was useless against the Bronze Luck Beast. The Bronze Luck Beast's resistance didn't seem to be inferior to ordinary golden warriors. However, its speed was much faster than a golden warrior's. It was also top-notch and very difficult to deal with. After Zhou Wen used the Astral/Blade aura, he left a deep mark on the Bronze Luck Beast's body. However, such a wound wasn't enough to kill it unless Zhou Wen could release another 2 or 3 Astral/Blade auras. However, the full force of the Astral/Blade aura had drained him of his primordial energy. So how could he release it? Li Xian and Zhou Wen could only leave Restriction City and return empty-handed. Thankfully, it's the two of us. If it were those mortal stage students, it would be a wonder if they didn't die inside. Isn't the homework mission assigned by Counselor Wang a little too ridiculous? Besides, why is the information given so unreliable? Li Xian said gloomily as he looked at his tattered clothes. Who knows? But that's good too. When I get back, I'll think about it carefully and think of a strategy to kill the Bronze Luck Beast. When the time comes, there will definitely be many students who will want to buy it. Zhou was very optimistic. This was because before he entered the city, he had already discovered the tiny palm symbol and downloaded Restriction City into his phone. Zhou didn't know that the bronze luck beast had no weaknesses. As long as he studied it more, he would definitely be able to find a simple way to kill the bronze luck beast. If he wrote a strategy, he might be able to make a killing. Li Xian had no choice but to listen to Zhou and return first. After returning to his dorm, Zhou opened the Restriction City instance dungeon and began the process of repeatedly grinding. From his positioning after entering the city to how to avoid awakening the bronze luck beast to killing it, Zhou repeatedly experimented. Li Xian was right. The bronze luck beast was much stronger than what was written in the information. Even a legendary stage student would find it difficult to kill it without using a companion beast in a one-on-one situation. In the past, the special admissions students needed 4 people to kill the bronze luck beast. Now, it was an impossible task for Zhou's class, which was mostly at the mortal stage, to kill the bronze luck beast. In the beginning, Zhou had relied on Truth Listener and Banana Fairies help to successfully kill a bronze luck beast. After some research, he was finally able to kill the bronze luck beast alone. However, what Zhou could do didn't mean that the other students could do it. Even if Zhou wrote the strategy, the students whose stats were still at the mortal stage and who didn't have powerful primordial energy skills wouldn't be able to use his method and strategy. Is there really no other way? As Zhou continued killing the bronze luck beast, he studied it, hoping to find a way for his mortal stage classmates to kill the bronze luck beast. At that moment, Wang Fei had a smug look on her face. She had indeed issued the homework mission to kill the bronze luck beast, but she had tampered with the mission. Apart from Zhou and Li Xian, the other students had received missions to kill mortal stage bronze beasts. Only the 2 of them had received the mission to kill legendary bronze beasts. If I don't let those 2 suffer a little, they will really think highly of themselves. Wang Fei was very certain that Zhou and Li Xian wouldn't be able to complete the mission. This homework mission was also prepared for the legendary stage special admissions students this year. It hadn't been officially issued. Even those special admission students needed 3 or 4 people to join forces to have a chance of killing the bronze luck beast. Now, their class only had Li Xian and Zhou at the legendary stage. It was impossible for them to find other students to help. Thinking of how Zhou would come to her dejectedly if he couldn't complete the mission, Wang Fei looked forward to that scene. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.